Ready? Okay. Good evening. We are now going to call the regular council meeting for April 8th, 2026. This meeting was advertised pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice was placed in the official publications for Monroe Township, the South Jersey Times, Courier Post, and the Sentinel of Gloucester County. A copy of that notice is posted on the bulletin board in the municipal complex. Please note the clerk has placed a sign-in sheet in the rear of the courtroom. If anyone would like to address council during the public portion, please sign in, raise your hand, and I will ask you to come forward to the microphone. Please kindly state your name and the town that you live in for the record. In addition, please note that this meeting is currently being live streamed on the township's YouTube channel in accordance with Ordinance 056-2024. A link for the copy of this recording will also be posted on the township's website for the public to view at their convenience. Please all rise for the salute to the flag and remain standing for the invocation. Councilman Valentine?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we gather here today as the leadership of Monroe Township, we pray we are ever mindful of the responsibility we have to render service to our fellow citizens and to our community. Keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas, and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us strive to continue to make Monroe Township a successful community and lead with truthfulness, trust, and good character for the residents of Monroe Township. Amen.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Council President, Mrs. Adams?
Here.
Mr. Cope? Here. Mrs. Fox?
Here.
Mr. Heverly?
Here.
Council Vice President, Mr. O'Reilly?
Here.
Mr. Rossi?
Here.
Mr. Valentine?
Here.
Mayor Wolf?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Kurz? Here. Solicitor, Mrs. Grace?
Here.
Business Administrator, Mr. Dehart?
Here.
Director of Code Enforcement, Mr. Sebastian?
Here.
Director of Community Affairs, Mrs. Park, is excused. Director of Parks and Recreation, Mr. Bruno, is excused. Director of Public Safety, Mr. Rumpf. Here. Director of Public Works, Mr. Delks.
Here.
Director of Real Estate, Ms. Posatsky.
Here.
Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Boyer.
Here.
Police Chief McBride.
Here.
And myself, Municipal Clerk Eileen Chiselko.
Thank you. We will move on to matters for discussion. Is there anyone on council that has any matters they'd like to discuss this evening?
Yes, Council President. After the ordinance meeting and after last week's council meeting, I spoke with several residents, a couple of them senior citizens, that they left, we called their names and they weren't able to stay this. I just want to, open discussion on council, see what people think. I know the gentleman at the last ordinance meeting said we are the only ones that don't put a time limit. I don't like limiting, but I also want to hear from everybody that can't, especially senior citizens that can't stay up till midnight, 1 o'clock to do. So what's everyone's thoughts on putting a limit on it? I know school boards, 3. I see both sides. So it's a matter of discussion. I can go either way. But a couple of senior citizens asked me about it, said, could we do it so they could talk? What are people's thoughts?
Does anyone on council have any thoughts about a time limit for the public portion?
I don't like the idea of a time limit. I think people should be able to speak their mind, and we should be able to hear their ideas.
Don't disagree, but could we do that in 10 minutes, 5 minutes? Can they get their point across? So, people talk and we want to hear them for 45 minutes. Is that fair to a senior citizen who can't stay up that late? We should want to hear from her, too.
Well, what if we have them speak for a certain amount of limits that we say, and then once everyone has gone through, you can come back up again. This gives the opportunity.
It's kind of the best of both worlds.
How about disabled or elderly come first? Yeah, that's like a common law.
Something that, does that have to go, is that a resolution, or is that a?
We
We can't
have to go
ask-
through, we just have to make sure whoever wants priority, I guess, signs up on the list.
So
We'd
can we
always have
do
to
a
go through the
limit,
list.
and then have everyone go through, and then come back up? At least it gives everyone the opportunity.
So would that open us up for somebody coming up and suing us for age discrimination now?
That's why you don't ask.
No, we just said we're going to use the list.
Right.
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 That's my thought.
But is this something that, because of the data center, has created people showing up and talking? Or is this the way it's been constantly, month after month, year after year? Or is this, because somehow a data center got approved?
I'll tell you why I'm bringing it up, because a senior citizen asked me to put it, so would you talk to council with it? That's why it's being brought up, because a resident, several residents asked me about it, that's why.
Yeah, I don't plan on being here.
So, council, I mean, think about it, we'll talk about it again next week, or in 2 weeks, but it was brought up, I want to throw that out there, and I see both sides. All right?
And-
That's all I have.
No, and I was going to say, and certainly we have public portion later on tonight, so maybe we can get some thoughts from any member of the
fine.
public who wants to speak on that without a time limit.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Anyone else with any matters they'd like to discuss? Seeing none, moving on to questions regarding resolutions scheduled for this evening. Does anyone on council have questions regarding resolutions for this evening? Moving on. Does anyone have any questions regarding ordinances scheduled for this evening? Seeing
I
none-
do.
Nope.
I will go back to, which one was it again? The ban on data centers. I'll go back to Section E, prohibition on circumventing. It should be revised to have the zoning officer refer it for further application back to the zoning board of adjustment to make the determination of if the proposed use is similar to the data center, falls within the scope of prohibition.
So as I stated earlier, that's already prescribed and is the process as per the municipal land use law, so that is the process. It doesn't need to be explicitly indicated in there because that's the law.
Can I ask a question? Are we talking about, is your question about in the beginning for the approval, or if we get a report of a violation, who goes out? 'Cause I think that's maybe where where I'm misunderstanding the
I
question.
think the ordinance needs to be clear, that they're right, because you can put it any way you want. So at least, people read my post under, at Councilman Valentine about having the ordinance, with no limit on this maximum square foot, because you could end up putting up 100,000 square foot. So now, we brought it down to 2,000 square foot. So now this is the only other problem that I see in it.
So if I'm understanding this, the zoning officer does not get involved on the preliminary approvals,
But
or
it's-
it's done, she would get involved if we get a report of a violation, and she goes out and deems it's not in compliance with the code that, or with what they were approved to put in there. I mean, I guess I'm hearing two different sides to this, and I'm trying to put the pieces together.
Well, I guess it's on the way we read, I guess it's on the way we read the ordinance, interpret it. So I think we need to interpret it a little differently then. Because another lawyer's going to come over, and they're going to interpret it the same way, and that's what's going to happen. Because evidently we're interpreting it two different
What
ways.
I'm asking, and
So-
like, is that?
Sure, and
I
I
get
think
what you're saying, too.
I think at different points in time tonight, we've talked about certain different portions of the ordinance because the zoning officer is mentioned in different areas. Are you specifically talking about E?
Yes.
Okay, where it says, the last line is, "The zoning officer shall have the authority to make determinations as to whether the proposed use falls within the scope of this prohibition."
Correct.
Okay, so, again, that's in addition to it going to the planning board. The zoning officer has that authority to make that determination alongside the planning board. I'll open this up to council because this hasn't gone for first reading yet, and again, I want to make sure that it has the right verbiage before it does go to first reading. We can, just to clarify, put the planning board, or we could just delete that entire sentence if it's causing confusion. We could remove that sentence under E that says, "The zoning officer shall have the authority to make determinations as to whether a proposed use falls within the scope of this prohibition." Because again, per the municipal land use law, it has to go through the process of the planning board and reviews and applications by the planning board professionals and studies.
That language won't change anything.
So, no, because that's prescribed by the municipal land use law.
Understood.
Let me ask it in more basic terms.
Speak into your microphone.
Oh, yes, everyone can hear me. Sorry. So, an application comes in for a data center, okay? Just to make sure everyone understands, all commercial applications, different from a residential, someone coming in to put an addition on their house or something like that, any commercial application, does it not automatically get referred to the planning board?
Correct.
As a matter of state procedure?
That's as a matter of state law. It has to go to the planning board for that review.
So the zoning officer, or whoever it may be, has no authority in any way to stamp an approval or a denial?
It would be in addition or in conjunction with the planning board. But
Yeah.
again, it has to go through the planning board,
Okay.
and it doesn't need that, you're absolutely right, to your point, right? It was just an extra measure to also get another stamp of approval. But anyways, it has to go through the planning board. If it's rejected by the planning board, nobody can do anything about it.
Okay.
But for ease of reference, if we want to, in terms of enforcement, the ordinance still says the zoning official, right, construction official or authorized municipal official. But in terms of this specific prohibition on circumvention section, we can remove that last sentence if it's causing confusion. And again,
It doesn't hurt, it doesn't,
it
because it's going to
it was an
planning
extra,
first.
it was an
Right, and the
extra
planning
layer.
role
It still
cannot-
has to go through planning board as per state law.
And the enforcement portion of this is covered under Section 2 and 3.
Correct, exactly. So this would just be a removal of the last sentence
Should remove it because it's confusing.
of letter E, which explicitly says the zoning officer shall have the authority to make determinations as to whether a proposed use falls within the scope of this prohibition.
Can we just make a motion to remove it? Can we just
Well,
make a motion to
Well,
remove it?
during the ordinance portion, right, we'll
Yeah, I mean, we
move
could,
forward with agreed amendments.
right, we can reference it during the ordinance portion, that's not a problem.
Right, so now we're going to add the cap on the maximum 2,000
Correct.
square foot, and we'll remove section A.
Yes.
I'm good with
We
that.
just need that as a matter of public
It'll be
record.
2% or 2,000, whichever's less.
Whichever is less, that's correct. We need to make it a matter of public record, because obviously this is first reading, so
Yeah.
there's no public portion on the ordinances prior to that. So it's just council making the revisions
Yeah,
right
it
now.
wasn't that hard now, was it?
Okay. Anyone else have any questions regarding ordinances scheduled for this evening? Seeing none, moving on, we have no minutes to approve or correspondence. May I have a motion to open public portion for resolutions scheduled for this evening?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone wishing to speak on resolutions that are scheduled for this evening? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close public portion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? On resolution.
That's resolutions, Mark.
Re-
No, that's
Resolutions.
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 There's still another
You're for
public portion.
ordinances.
There's another public portion at the end.
New Jersey State, under the New Jersey redevelopment plan, bypassed planning boards in Monroe Township. What is not to say that the state one day will say, if you want
Is
to
this
do a
public
data
portion?
center,
So-
they can bypass that planning. So I think taking that verbiage out could hurt us. I think being redundant is better, only because I know the state of New Jersey
So-
redevelopment plan bypassed the planning board here at Monroe Township.
Okay.
Under state law.
So right now, it's just public portion for resolutions.
All right.
So anyone who wants to speak on resolutions, please come to the podium.
Okay. May I have a motion to close public portion on
Motion to
resolutions?
close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to Resolution R-157, 2026, the introduction of the 2026 municipal budget of the Township of Monroe, County of Gloucester for the fiscal year 2026. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cope?
Yes.
Mrs. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Heverly?
Yes.
Mr. O'Reilly?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Mr. Valentine?
Yes.
Mrs. Adams?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I have a motion to bracket resolutions R-158, 2026 through R-167, 2026?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve resolutions R-158, 2026 through R-167, 2026.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Madam Clerk, I recuse myself from 158, 163, and 164, please.
Thank you.
I now turn this portion of the meeting back over to Council Chairperson, Councilman Heberly.
Thank you, President Adams. Ordinances for first reading this evening, ordinance 17-2026, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Monroe to amend Chapter 263 of the Code of the Township of Monroe entitled Tree Removal and Replacement. First reading and publication. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Ordinance 18-2026, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Monroe to amend Chapter 174 of the Code of the Township of Monroe entitled Fees. First reading and publication. Motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Ordinance 21-2026, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Monroe to amend Chapter 74 of the Code of the Township of Monroe entitled Fees, pending council approval, ordinance chair approval, first reading and publication. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Ordinance 22-2026, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township, Monroe, amending the Code of the Township of Monroe to amend Chapter 4, Article 7 for the new section related to project labor agreements. Council President and Council Committee approval, pending first reading publication. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Ordinance 23-2026, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Monroe to amend Chapter 4 of the Code of the Township of Monroe entitled Administrative Code. First reading and publication. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Ordinance 24-2026, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Monroe to amend Chapter 175-163.4 of the Code of the Township of Monroe entitled Cannabis. Do I have a first reading and publication? Motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now, ordinance 25-2026, with the amended changes to the ordinance, an ordinance of the Township Council of Monroe, County of Gloucester, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 175 of the Code of the Township of Monroe to add a new section, 175-163.5, entitled Data Centers, prohibiting data centers within the township.
Motion to approve.
First reading and publication, motion to
Motion to
approve.
approve.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I now turn this portion back over to Council President Adams.
Thank you. Does anyone on council have any new business they'd like to discuss this evening? Seeing none, does anyone on council have any unfinished business they'd like to discuss this evening? I think we have,
I believe the
I think we have our
engineer.
our township planner is here.
Yes.
I think this is a follow-up to Mr. Pizzatski's timeline, where there were some questions, so the township planner, who was away, had some time to review. They're going to come up and discuss.
Should have doubled up.
Good evening, Council. Thank you, Council Chair. I just wanted to, I apologize, I was away at the last meeting, so I just wanted to, I read through some of Mr. Pizzowski's, I apologize if I'm saying your name incorrectly, comments here and just what was submitted. So I'd like to just,
Who is he?
Little
I-
closer,
I
little closer
apologize.
to the
I'm sorry,
mic
can
and
you
state who
Gotta
you
bring
are.
it close.
my name is Adam Warburg, I'm the Township Planner appointed with Colliers Engineering. I just wanted to address some of the comments and just kind of put it on the record what happened with the area in need of rehab and the redevelopment plan and kind of just go through everything for everybody, so the record's clear. So Mr. Pizzowski wrote in number 1 of the information that was submitted, 2019 resolutions did not designate Block 8401. We have copies of the commercial corridor rehabilitation area study that was done back in 2019. The block and lots are listed inside the study in the appendices, as well as there's a map actually in here that we have a copy of as well, that color codes where that commercial corridor zone was, and that Block 8401, lots 8, 9, and 10 were in fact inside the study and recommended to be an area in need of rehabilitation. So that's the first here that was citing the resolutions from the Planning Board and the Township Council. Going down to number 2, Ordinance 19-2022 contains false statements. Again, as I just stated, it's in the rehabilitation area report that we have here as well, that Block 8401, lots 8, 9, 10 are included in that commercial corridor rehabilitation area.
And what year was that?
What, the study?
Yeah,
The study was dated August 2019.
2019.
Correct.
And what's the name of the study?
The rehabilitation area determination, commercial corridor rehabilitation area.
And how do I get a copy?
We can,
Planning?
we have a copy here tonight.
Wasn't there a study from 2004?
2004, maybe the master plan? Master plan
No,
was
on that
2004.
property there.
No, I don't believe so. Not that I have the 2019, which was the rehab. That kind of sets, I'll keep speaking to it, but that
Okay.
kind of sets everything into motion. Resolution 92-2022, again, it speaks to Block 8401 located in commercial corridor. Mr. Bozowski believes that's not true. Again, the report states that otherwise it is true, that it is in this zone. Ordinance 0220.
Can you pull the microphone a little closer
I
to you?
apologize, yes. Sorry about that, everybody. I can speak a little bit louder. Ordinance 02-2025 adds warehouses, distribution centers, data centers, things like that. That's talking to the redevelopment plan that was issued as a result of being inside an area in need of rehabilitation. Once a parcel is inside an area of need of rehabilitation, a redevelopment plan can be established for any parcels within that area. So, that ordinance speaks to that redevelopment plan, which again, the area in need of rehabilitation determination that was established grants council the power to create redevelopment plans for these areas.
What was the criteria for redevelop, to redevelop it?
Rehabilitation.
Redevelop.
So it's area in need of rehabilitation. There's two distinctions.
Right,
There's
so what
area
was the
need-
criteria for that one?
Sure. So I could speak to it. Hold on one second. Inside the rehabilitation plan, there's a few criteria. It's under NJSA 40A:12A-14. There's certain conditions that need to be met. One being more than half of the housing stock in the delineated area is at least 50 years old. There is a pattern of vacancy, abandonment, or underutilization of the properties in the area. There is a persistent acreage of property tax payments on properties in the area, or environmental contamination is discouraging improvements and investment in properties in the area. So again, there's two distinctions there, rehabilitation and redevelopment. There are a set of standards for redevelopment. Those are contained, and I believe they've been referred to a little bit. I can go into those as well.
No, I want to know what criteria you got, what you found to rehab this property.
Sure,
What you
absolutely.
found.
So the results in that study that you can reference, housing for 367 dwellings constructed during or before 1969, 68% of those dwellings are in the study area, so more than half. Vacancy, 227 parcels were recorded as vacant, 10 properties in foreclosure by tax liens, 19 properties in sheriff sales, 15 properties resulted in sales from bankruptcy proceedings, and 9 properties were actually sold to banks as part of a foreclosure deal. On contamination, we recorded that 42 known contaminated sites in town are in that study.
That's fine. I want to know about this property. What was the problem with this property that it had to be rehabbed?
It was in the study area. So
So it's anything around that property. So the property's fine, because the property's still operating as a farm right now. To this day, it still gets its farm tax assessment. I think it was, they did a cover crop, I think it was 25 when they tilled it under, 24 and 25. I think Ferrucci, when I talked to him over the weekend, they farmed that up until 23. So I'm trying to figure out how you came up with this, because I can't see it.
we look at the entire study area.
But you're looking at
So-
everything around that. You're not actually looking at this property, so.
Well, this property was included in the study area, so we did review this.
Okay, but I want to know exactly what you found about this property, not around the property, not down the street, not at Bob's house where we used to have coffee. I want to know this property, why this property what you found directly involving this property. I don't want to know what's around it. I live there. I know what's around it.
No, I understand, but the results of the criteria that we need to meet met to put that property in a need of rehabilitation. It,
So, Adam, you mentioned.
Go ahead.
There were 42 known contaminants, right?
Correct.
Was
Not on that property.
Can I finish my question, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Where were those specifically, where were those 42 known contaminants?
The environmental contamination map is in the back of the study. You can see it right here. And they're all noted in the back of the study, if you would like to reference it. I mean, they're all throughout town.
Yeah, a little microphone closer.
All the properties are within this study that were noted for environmental contamination. They're all within the bounds of the township. Now, there are certain properties that fall within the rehabilitation area. Those properties are what I'm noting inside the report. Now, the fact that this property specifically, I would have to go back and actually look at the research that we had done. Everything goes into a summary report inside this rehabilitation study. And again, if the criteria are met by state law, that allows the area to go into in need of rehabilitation, which is reviewed and subsequently adopted.
Okay, so the property down the street where the old junkyard used to be, so that has contaminants on it, but this property doesn't, but it still falls under that rule. Is that what you're saying?
It's within the study area, so it can be.
It's within the study area, but it makes no sense because it's not this property.
So if you take 100 properties and you say these 100 properties are in the study area,
Mark, go up to the microphone
and like,
so everybody can hear you.
This isn't a public,
so then if you do a study and you have 100 properties in the study, and 99 are pure, never developed, don't qualify, but there's one that's out there of the 100, that one contaminates the other 99. That one makes the other 99 qualified for rehabilitation, is what I hear you saying.
If the parcels that we're evaluating are in that study area, and we look at the study area as a whole, and we meet the requirements that are put in place by law, those parcels can fall within that study area. That is what I'm saying.
So whatever parcel you put into the study, if one of those parcels qualifies, they all qualify.
If we meet the criteria required by law, they qualify.
Mr. Posadsky, I don't want to cut you off. Can we just have Mr. Warburton?
But I don't think anyone in the room is getting that point.
I understand, but nobody interrupted Mr. Posadsky last time when he was giving his presentation. So, and there will be a public portion. I just want to be able to get through Adam's distinctions and presentation, and then, of course, public portion will come up.
So where does that area run from? I'd like to know if my farm's covered under this.
So, again, we can give you a copy of the study. There's maps in here. that
Yeah, I think I was
delineate-
looking at that earlier.
Yeah, that delineate the parcels. They're all in yellow inside the study area.
Okay.
So,
Councilman Valentine, you'll have a copy of the ordinance and the plan coming to you.
and Mr.
Sorry, the
Valentine,
resolution.
There's also block and lots in the back, in the appendice, that notate all the block and lots, if that's a little bit easier to reference. So I think that summed up, again, Mr. Posadsky, obviously we could talk about this and everything, but I think that summed up your letter and what we found. I can go into the actual determinations that were made, the dates that determinations were made. Just to put it on record again, on September 9th, 2019, the Township Council approved Resolution 212-2019, requesting the Planning Board to evaluate if the commercial corridors in Monroe Township satisfy one or more of the statutory criteria to be declared in need of rehabilitation. On September 12th, 2019, the Planning Board approved Resolution 34-2019, recommending the Township Council of Monroe adopt a resolution designating certain commercial corridors located within the Township of Monroe as areas in need of rehabilitation. On September 23rd, 2019, the Township Council approved Resolution 221-2019, accepting the comments and the recommendations of the planning board and designating certain commercial corridors within the Township of Monroe as areas in need of rehabilitation pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 40A:12A-1 et seq. On February 13th, 2023, the Township Council introduced Ordinance Number 04-2023 to adopt a redevelopment plan for a portion of the commercial corridor rehabilitation area. Again, just speaking to the process, what sets that into motion is that the area in need of rehabilitation was designated and found to be in need of rehabilitation by Township Council. That's what allows Township Council to establish a redevelopment plan for parcels within that rehabilitation area. So just so that's clear. So it was introduced on February 13th, 2023. February 23rd, 2023, the Planning Board reviewed the proposed redevelopment plan for consistency with the master plan. As every ordinance we've heard tonight starts with council, goes to the Planning Board, and then comes back for a second reading. So it completed its jog down to the Planning Board. On February 27, 2023, the Township Council adopted Ordinance 04-2023, approving the redevelopment plan for 8401 lots 8, 9, and 10. On October 23rd, under Resolution Number 265-2023, we undertook a preliminary investigation, and on October 26th, there was another resolution, and again another resolution, and then Township Council approved what we heard tonight, some of the ordinances approving data centers and things like that. I don't want to bore everybody or take everybody's time, but as we've talked about, the area was deemed in need of rehabilitation. Block 8401, lots 8, 9, and 10 were in that area, which gave Township Council the right to establish a redevelopment plan for those parcels.
Can you speak to, prior to that, going back to 2010, when the designation changed from whatever it was back prior to 2010, and then bring us up to speed on why it was changed in 2010?
Sure. So prior to 2010, it was in a rural development commercial zone. So it was already zoned for commercial uses. In 2010, the zoning was changed over to RGMU. RGMU being regional growth mixed use. The reason for the designation was that in speaking with the Pinelands, there was some concern from the Pinelands about parcels that were looked at for high ecological integrity, and there were parcels that were looked at as having low ecological integrity. The Pinelands wished to protect some of the parcels that had higher ecological integrity. In doing so, it was recommended inside the master plan reexamination that the Township of Monroe dedicate 2,785 acres worth of land to be moved out of rural development into forest districts. In the Pinelands, regional growth is the most intensive development type, whereas preservation areas are the least development intense, if you want to call it that. Forest districts lean towards the preservation side of things. So forest districts, for example, in town, we have a code that says FD40, right? If you're in the FD40 zone, you actually need 40 acres worth of land to be able to build a single-family home on that lot. FD10, 10 acres worth of land to build a single-family home on that lot. So you see, it's meant to be restrictive. So the Pinelands was asking the Township of Monroe to deed restrict, essentially, more land, and in return, this lot, RGMU, was actually upzoned, so it was brought up. It was 128 acres worth of land that was actually upzoned as an offset for the 2,785 acres that were downzoned in town to protect it. Now, what that did was, and the Pinelands report, it was actually, I believe, done in 2010. It was an EIA report that they had done, that the Pinelands had done. It looked at a forest corridor that ran through Monroe Township and into Buena Vista and some of the other towns, and they wanted to preserve a designated corridor for the flight of birds, things like that, to keep forest areas contiguous. In doing that, that's what ended up changing the parcel and allowing this parcel to go into RGMU. So you look at what the ask was, right? So the ask was 128 acres to go up to a little bit of higher development intensity along the Black Horse Pike, which the Pinelands cited, and I have it right here, directly. I can quote directly from the Pinelands report that they gave. inside the report issued by the Pinelands Commission. Again, we have copies, everything's public knowledge. During the course of the Commission's EIA project, the land on which the township now proposes the RGMU district was identified by staff with the Commission as a possible management area change from rural development to regional growth. A number of contributing factors were considered in the staff's recommendation, including the fact that most of the area has a relatively low ecological integrity assessment score, the fact that the area consists of largely non-habitat, i.e. agricultural fields, the fact that the area is contiguous with an existing regional growth area, the area's proximity to a major public road and other infrastructure necessary to support growth, the lack of any public development plans for the area that would be inconsistent with the additional development there, and the lack of any data presently on hand that would indicate the presence of threatened or endangered species or their habitat. In addition, more than 90% of the land on which the township now proposes to expand its forest area, i.e. the recommendation that was put into the master plan re-exam, was identified by staff at the Commission as a potential new forest area. Factors considered in this recommendation included the fact that the area consists almost entirely of forested pinelands habitat, the fact that the vast majority of habitat within the area has a very high ecological integrity assessment scores, and the fact that the area constitutes an ecologically critical portion of over 7,000 acres of forested habitat stretching from Buena Vista Township through Monroe Township and into Franklin Township. Ultimately, the CMP Policy and Implementation Committee recommended the full Pinelands Commission consider establishing a new forest area in this location. So again, the change back in 2010 was driven in concert with the Pinelands, and it was a heavy offset by the township to move parcels out of a possibly development-intense area into a forest area, further preserving them and meeting the goals of the Pinelands Commission. So again, 2,785 acres worth of land for an upzone of 128 acres worth of land. That was back in 2010. Subsequently, that's when we move up to 2019. The RGMU was the underlying zoning. 2019, we designate an area in need of rehabilitation along the commercial corridors, and then the redevelopment plan is established that overlaps the RGMU. So, and that brings us to today, the discussion we're having with the amendments to the redevelopment plan and things like that. That is all based off, that's kind of the history behind the parcel.
What gives you the right to take someone's property and deem it
Excuse me.
undevelopable? When it was also agricultural, it was all.
We're going to have time for public portion after.
No, this is right. You're speaking
That-
about my land. You're speaking about my land.
Do you, ma'am, do you own the land? Do you own the land?
Yes.
You
My
own-
name is written all over that 2010 master plan. You want to check it? Those 125 acres that he's talking about is my property.
Ma'am, we're going to have public portion. You can come up and speak. You can hold your question if you have a specific question.
You can ask a question to him personally when it's public portion, ma'am. That's fine.
You have to go to the mic during public portion, so we have it for the record.
All right, he's going, Adam, you're not going anywhere. Thank you.
I have a question. Why would they do that? They would move the sensitivity because the hospitality waterway runs by that, runs right through that property. So why would they switch it? Why would they move it? It makes no sense to me.
Okay, it's a little difficult to even, I'm sitting up here and I can't hear Councilman Valentine. Please.
Because if you look at what they did, my farm's listed under this now, right? The campground is listed under this now.
The rehabilitation.
You're going all the way down the pike with this. And that hospitality waterway runs that whole side. So what makes that? Yes, basically, yeah, because you're designating that one property you want to put a mega warehouse on, right? A lot of wetland back there.
Correct.
And it's an active farm to this day, so it's never been abandoned. Because now they're doing cover crops. It's still covered by the farm assessment. So I'm not understanding, because you're saying, it makes no sense to me. You're saying the properties around it makes that property bad, makes my farm bad,
Well,
makes their farm bad.
Correct, but I'm not saying that. That's part of
Well,
the plan.
there's a problem with this. There's a problem with this. I don't think the taxpayers would have a problem going to another land use lawyer and paying to have them take a look at this. There's a problem with this.
Understood.
I think there's a problem with this. Listen,
I understand your concern. All I'm saying is that the Pinelands Commission completed their report, and that's what I was stating, how, this happened back in 2010.
2010, yeah, I understand that, 'cause I went to the
Not dealing
Pinelands.
with the area in need of rehabilitation. I'm just speaking to why the parcels were changed back in 2010, and the reason for it, which came out of the Pinelands report. That's dealing with the ecological sensitivity of the parcel. That's not, I'm not talking about the ecological sensitivity with the area in need of rehab. I'm just stating it back in 2010. That is why the Pinelands completed their study, and they found that the farm field held lower ecological value than the forest area next door to that, to keep a continuous corridor through this town and then into Buena Vista and Franklin Township.
you can't eat a property, so that's,
No, I understand. Listen, I understand what you're saying. I'm just,
Let me ask you a question. This is what you do for a living. Does that, I know it was done before you. Does that look like that was spot zone?
the parcel itself?
Yes.
No,
Not to you at all?
no, it does not.
I think we need to have a third party. I would like the third party to look at that, see how we can get that done.
Sure. Yeah.
changes to say that this farmland is not worth it.
It was done back in, it was done back in 2010. That's what I'm trying to figure out. It looks like it was the pine land in the township
Okay,
did it.
we have to establish your record here. One person can only speak at a time, please, thank you.
We've already just established, though, let's wait till public portion, please, so everyone can get their fair share of time and questioning. Adam, again, you're not going anywhere.
I'm not leaving. I'm here.
No bathroom breaks.
I'm here.
All right. Anyone else from council have any questions to direct towards Adam before we move on with the agenda, which includes public portion very shortly?
I have one, because I think it's what some of the public, I keep doing that, sorry. In 2010, right, so 16 years ago, what triggered this?
I would have to look into it.
I mean, I'm not saying that, listen, first of all, it's not a single person that's sitting up here today, 16 years ago, okay? But that's irrelevant. I don't know what triggered. Was it an application? Did somebody call the Pinelands and say, I want to do something?
I would have to look into that further, Mr. O'Reilly.
Is that residential neighborhood that I heard back in?
Ma'am, do you want to come up to the microphone?
I want to hear her, because
Okay.
it's a question on this one. And then, with all due respect, let's get through everything, and then we'll open the public portion, please.
Yeah, in the 2010 master plan for Monroe Township, it outlines all the land that was taken, given, switched, all that stuff. It was for Hilton Homes Cedar Creek, and it outlines that it wanted to be assisted living, retail spaces, and affordable homes. So that is why this all originally came under. And if you go up to the actual part where they discuss why it was changed, it will tell you that, yes, they did do a study, the Pinelands did do a study. However, the Cedar Creek area, while ultimately not recommended for change due to other reasons, was identified as a possible management area change to regional growth for a number of reasons, including the stuff that he listed above, the composite ecological integrity assessment score, all that stuff. It was the fact that it is a contiguous with an existing regional growth area, its proximity to an improved public road and other infrastructure necessary to support growth. The lack of any public development plans for that area that would be inconsistent with additional development there, and the lack of any data presently on hand that would indicate the presence of threatened and endangered species that inhabit there, therefore. Additionally, an area southeast of Cedar Creek, my family's land, scored high enough such that the appropriate management area is forest area. This area consists of approximately 2,660 acres of rural development residential receiving and rural development residential sending districts. It is proposed this area becomes forest residential. Coincidentally, or not the same, or not, some of this area was recommended in a previous reexamination to become forest area and be used as an offset to the then and now proposed regional growth area for Cedar Creek. And when you go down in the 2010 master plan, it outlines their entire thing for single-family homes, multi-residential homes, all of that. So this was all changed because Hilton Homes, Cedar Creek, wanted to come and put in a development. It wasn't changed because anybody else asked for it.
What, you mentioned the 2010 plan. Do you have?
It's your Monroe Township. It's
No, I understand.
MonroeTownshipNJ.org,
I understand. Does that reference the month?
March 2010.
Okay, so it's the March 2010.
Master Plan Reexamination Report. It directly outlines, you can go down to the part in red, sorry, I'll get you the page. Page 16, where it says the crossover area, if you look at all those names, let me read them out. Stallba, which used to be my uncle. Stallba, which used to be my uncle. Hogbin, Kearns, Hogbin, Kearns, 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 Hogbin, 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 Kearns, Hogbin, Hogbin, Hogbin. You took all of my family's land and made it forest area.
Yeah.
And guess what? My taxes haven't gone down.
No.
They keep going up every single year, but yet I can't do anything with it.
Yeah. So you can see why we're a little upset with the pine
And you
lands
literally are
stepping
telling
in
us,
and
hold on.
taking my ground.
You're telling us it was used as an offset. It literally says it in the 2010 report. My ground was used as an offset so you guys could build stuff
You can
there.
build it.
And now when I say I don't want a warehouse in a data center, I'm the asshole. Like, come on.
You
So-
took my ground.
I'll get you a copy of this, which Adam was referencing. This is the actual Pinelands report. And if you can send over to our municipal clerk the information you were referencing,
I mean, it's
just
on your
so,
website.
I just want to make sure I get it directly from you so I can make sure I'm doing my due diligence.
Now, let me ask you a question. Can I just ask
Can-
one thing?
Go ahead.
He's saying it was the pine lands, the pine lands, the pine lands, the pine lands. That's not true. The township
Requested
approached
it.
the pine lands and asked for this.
They asked for it to be rezoned.
Rezoned.
So,
And because of the integrity report, they let it happen by offsetting our land. It's not because anybody wanted this.
No.
It says it in your report that you guys, not you guys specifically, but
Yeah.
your council wrote.
In 2010,
I need
no
your
one
email.
came on to our property ever, walked it, had any type of surveys done on our property ever. Because if they did, they would have had to come through my front of my house to get to the property. They can't go around anywhere. So you guys just Google it or whatever you want to say you did, and you took my ground, my brother's ground, my father's ground that has worked at this
Ma'am.
this township for over 100 years.
Ma'am, this young man was not involved.
He's
He's-
representative.
He's representing council now. He is the
Right.
township planner now. He was not involved in 2010.
Everybody was involved. The council, the Pine Lands, and him and Jason.
So let me ask the solicitor a question.
I'm sorry, one second. I'm sorry, ma'am, can we get your name for the record, please?
Debbie Hogbin Kearns.
Thank you. It was for the record, I appreciate it.
I live at 4536 South Black Horse
You don't
Pike.
have-
I own 4223 South Black Horse Pike. I own 4566 Black Horse Pike. I own it all. And I can't do anything with any of it, thanks to all of you. Not you, but the council that sat in 2010. And the Pine Lands that sat in 2010. I have no recourse with any of my ground. I can't sell it. I can't develop it. I farm it, but because now you've made it forestry. So I don't even get to have the benefit of that lesser tax. I've been taxed since 2010 as a farmer, and every year it's gone up and up and up and up in value. If it's not valuable, then why is the taxes going up?
Thank you, ma'am.
Every single time that the appraisals come around, we get those little cards to our acreage change. You guys don't even know your actual land mapping or where
So can I ask you a question? So what would it take to get a third-party land use lawyer, not attached to the township anyway at all, to take a look at this on how this happened?
Yes.
I know everybody's going to be scared of a lawsuit because if it gets overturned, but whatever. It doesn't seem right to me. I think we should at least have somebody take a look at it. Because if it gets overturned, the data center, the warehouse, all that goes away.
That's not
It doesn't
true.
look
No.
right the way they did this.
So the data center prohibition is.
No, we go back to the
based on
redevelopment
entire-
and
That's based on the entire township, right? I don't want to conflate the two matters, right? And I agree with you, that's what I'm trying to explain. They're two separate, they're two separate issues at hand, which is why I can speak very lengthily, that's not even a word, but I can speak in length about the data center, but we have the planner and planning board professionals that can speak on to
But that's what got us in
rezoning
trouble in the
and-
first
and
place.
whatnot. Well, so and I just received this report from the Pinelands. I actually think we just received this from the Pinelands earlier today.
Correct.
Is that right? So,
All I'm saying is if it's possible, we take a look at it and it can be unwound, maybe we should do that.
we can certainly explore what that process would look like, because as I sit here right now, this is information and reports, again, that we just received right now, going back to 2010, and it doesn't just involve council or even the township's planning board, it involves the Pinelands Commission, and obviously, we're hearing some, and we're seeing some conflicting information that we would have to look into further, because and again, I'd be more than happy to provide you with a copy of this that indicates, sure, it's a matter of public record, that's not a problem. Sure, not a problem. I will give you my copy, if you want to come up right now.
What's the date of that? Just curious.
So this is, just for the record, this is a resolution of the New Jersey Pinelands Commission, number PC 4-10-46, and then it includes, it includes a Pinelands Commission report on Monroe Township's March 2010 master plan dated August 30th, 2010. And then it's approximately, I'm not going to count the pages, but
August, what was that, right?
it's,
30th, 2010.
it's about a
August 30th.
20,
It's 2010.
20 pages or so, probably. There you go. So we can certainly see what we have to start at the very, very beginning, because there's a lot of parties here. We have to see what the process actually is to go about that. Because we're talking about, years and years and years of communications, revisions, studies, plans.
This is the bait and switch that we keep mentioning. Now they're going to go to 2010 and see that and go, oh, now we can just move on in. Because that's what they've been doing.
That's not true.
Adam, are you finished with your report?
I am.
Okay. Does anyone else have any unfinished business they'd like to discuss? Okay.
Sorry, I just want to be very, very clear. This is a completely and wholly separate issue than the data center provision, which council voted on first reading to proceed with tonight. So there are no changes being made to the data center provision. That's continuing. And even if sometime in the future there is any sort of change in the master plan or any sort of rezoning, the data center provision applies to every single zone in this township.
So, just to clarify, I'm just going to say it so everyone hears it. Nobody wants the warehouse. Say a warehouse goes in and someone tries to do a bait and switch and make it a data center.
They cannot.
Dead on arrival.
They cannot.
They cannot. I don't know. Vineland, I understand.
They absolutely cannot build a data center once our ordinance goes into effect after second reading.
Okay. Moving on to reports and other matters. Madam Clerk?
Mayor Wolf?
Just thank you to council for supporting the data center ban, and I know it's the start, and hopefully by the 22nd, it's finalized. So thank you for that. Will conclude my report for this evening.
Deputy Mayor Kurz? Solicitor, Mrs. Grace?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Business Administrator, Mr. Dehart? Director of Code Enforcement, Mr. Sebastian? Director of Public Safety, Mr. Rumpf? Director of Public Works, Mr. Dokes? Director of Real Estate, Ms. Wasatski? Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Boyer?
No report, thank you.
Police Chief McBride? Mr. Cope?
No report, thank you.
Mrs. Fox?
Just a reminder, on Tuesday, April 14th, approximately time around 6:45, the honor flight will be arriving back at the high school. Again, I'm just putting it out to everyone. It's an awesome thing to attend, and just to remind everyone, this will be on August 14th, which is Tuesday. End of report, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Heverly?
No report, thank you.
Mr. Rossi?
No report, thank you.
Mr. Valentine?
Yeah, I would just like to thank the mayor for looking at my Facebook page, at Councilman Valentine, and realizing that we needed a cap on the square footage for the data center.
I didn't look as yours, John.
Thank you, thank you. And also, I'd like to thank all the residents for showing up. It's good to see you all here. Stick up for our land. Thank you. And that's the end of my report.
Council Vice President, Ms. O'Reilly?
So a little different, I figured Councilman Rossi or Cope. So Monroe Township Little League opening day is this Saturday. So hopefully some folks will be out there.
Yes, parades at 9 a.m., sorry.
75 years.
All right, so just letting everyone know, for those of you who have little ones, there will be the parade on opening day this Saturday at the Little League field. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President, Mrs. Adams?
Yes, again, want to thank everyone for coming out this evening and past meetings. Appreciate your passion. We are all up here because we care as well. Want to let you know, if you're not aware, there are citizen leadership forms available online and in the municipal building, where you can take a look at what boards and commissions have openings and submit your name for that if there's any openings available. And stay involved in your community and continue to be passionate. That concludes my report.
Thank you. This concludes reports for this evening.
Excuse me, can I say something really quick? I don't mean to speak out of turn, but this is the third meeting I've been to in a row. I can't take this anymore. It's 34 degrees outside. Why is the air conditioner blowing on me? It's very uncomfortable. I'm shivering. I can hardly concentrate on what everyone's saying.
I was actually asked to turn it on because it was 75 in here a little while ago, so I turned the air on, so I bring it down. I can shut it down again.
Okay.
That's my bad. I'm pregnant and very hot.
Okay, moving.
So,
May I have a motion to open the public portion?
sorry, can we take a brief 5-minute break so our directors can
Oh, that's right,
head
okay.
out?
Directors, thank
And
you.
we could turn off the AC.
Are we taking 5?
Just take the 5-minute break. Just take the 5-minute break.
You out of here? It's going to be a long
Dear God.
Here's your list.
Yep.
Follow it. Don't ask me how to pronounce, because I screwed it all up.
I'll go to my left. Are you ready? Okay. May I have a motion to open public portion, please?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone in the public wishing to speak this evening? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to go by the list.
We have a list,
We have
sorry.
a list, we have a list.
The answer is yes.
First, we have Kenneth Janes.
I think he spoke earlier.
Okay.
That's a good definition.
Everett Davis. Please state your name and city for the record, please.
Everett Davis, Williamstown.
President Adams, real quick. Just a point of order, Mr. Davis, because them two senior citizen ladies that I was speaking about earlier, one of them got me at ShopRite, and the other one saw the YouTube. She was watching this last week with her daughter, who's running for student council in her town, and they did ask me, remind you that there's children watching this, and you turned to act like you were urinating, complaining about a higher thing. Let's keep it classy, because there are children, and I have a 12-year-old daughter. I don't want her seeing that either.
No problem. I'll even try to keep this as quick as possible. I just want to point out first, the questions I'm asking are rhetorical, but feel free to answer them when I'm done. As we clearly established last time I appeared in front of this council, it was professionals consulting with the planning board who put a data center as an allowable use. That has been made crystal clear. It was our planning board that put a data center as an allowable use on the Hexa redevelopment land in question. Our professionals and our planning board did this, and now we have to fight to keep it from coming to fruition. Mayor Wolf, members of council, let's stop pretending this was accidental. A data center and a 1.6 million square foot warehouse don't just show up in a redevelopment plan. That doesn't happen by coincidence. That happens by design. Someone made that decision, and instead of owning it, you hide behind a vague, convenient excuse about the professionals. That answer is not acceptable anymore. So tonight, I'm not asking politely, I'm demanding clearly, who are these professionals that put us in this situation? Name them, every single one. Who hired them? Was it this council, the planning board, or were they brought in to serve outside interests looking to profit off Monroe Township? Who do they answer to? Because it certainly doesn't appear to be the residents. Who is paying them? Are taxpayer dollars funding decisions that go directly against the community and the best interests of the residents of Monroe? Or are developers influencing this process behind the scenes? Because either scenario is a serious problem, and one of them is far worse. Excuse me, I have a cold. Now let's get to the bigger issue. If this is what we caught, what else is already in motion that the public hasn't seen yet? Because just like a 40-foot tall storage facility right next to a senior community, or prematurely releasing performance bonds in a builder's favor, this doesn't feel like a one-off mistake. This feels like a pattern that will destroy our community, a pattern of quiet approvals, a pattern of strategic decisions, a pattern of keeping residents in the dark until it's too late to stop it. You don't accidentally rezone land for a data center or a warehouse. You don't mistakenly plan for a warehouse the size of a large development. Those are deliberate moves. And the fact that residents are now only finding out tells us exactly how this process has been handled. Behind closed doors, without transparency, and without accountability. Let me be clear, this isn't about politics anymore. This is about right and wrong. This is about trust, and right now that trust is gone. Because from where we stand, it looks like you, Mayor Wolf, and some of the members of this council are more responsive to consultants, insiders, and potential developers, professionals, than to residents who actually live here and the ones who will be stuck with the ramifications of these deals. Just like those ladies with their farm. That decision was 2010. They're still dealing with those ramifications. Monroe Township is not an industrial dumping ground. This is rural South Jersey, not the polluted industrialized North Jersey. It's not a bargaining chip, and it's not for sale. So here's where things stand. The residents are awake now. We are paying attention, and we're not going anywhere. We are demanding full transparency on this whole thing. names, contracts, communications, every document, and every decision that led to this. I've already prepared an Oprah request to find out these answers, but it would be great for the residents here tonight to hear them directly from you, not a sanitized version I'm sure I'll receive from my request. And let's be very clear about something else. A weak resolution banning data centers after the fact like this is not going to cut it. Any decent lawyer can tear this apart. That is a temporary shield, and everyone in this room knows it can and will be challenged by the developer. We need real action if we are going to put an end to data centers. We go back to the master plan, rewrite the ordinances, close the loopholes permanently. Don't give them a roadmap how to get around them. Make it legally impossible, not politically inconvenient, for this kind of development to happen here. It's not just data centers, a 1.6 million square foot warehouse. Because if you don't, then you're not protecting this town. You're enabling its transformation without the consent of the people who live in it. The time for deflection is over. The time for vague answers is over. The time for accountability is now. But I do have one question I really would like answered. And it came to me before I wrote my little speech here. Does anyone up on the dais have anything to do, including family members, businesses they own or represent, have anything whatsoever to do with data centers? Building them, representing them, anything. And I'm asking this question already knowing the answer.
It's me.
Okay?
I'm in the cell tower business. So my company, I'm in the cell tower division. I develop cell towers. I've been with my company for 30 years.
What's the name of the company?
American Tower.
That's not the company I'm asking about. But thank you for raising your hand.
I talk to John often about it. I just want to be.
Yeah, thank you for raising your hand. That's great.
I develop towers.
I'm talking about another company, Reliant. Anybody know that company name?
Reliant Business Valuations, as the company I used to work for, it's a business valuation company. It has nothing to do with data centers.
Third line on the website is data centers.
Reliant Business Valuation is a business valuation company out of Cranberry, New Jersey.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with business centers.
Has nothing to do with data centers.
Nothing to do with data centers. ReliantValue.com is their website. Anyone can go to it right now.
Okay, because I was looking at it outside. Somebody brought it up to me.
Absolutely not, sir.
So, different Reliant.
Reliant Business Valuation based out of Cranberry, New Jersey, 08512.
Okay, great then. All right, I'm happy to hear that. Now, would anybody like to answer my questions about these professionals that put a data center as an allowable use, or the 1.6 million square foot warehouse? How did that happen? I mean, this is in North Jersey. I moved here because there are trees. I moved from Gloucester Township, where now you try to find more than 10 trees, somebody's building a house there. It's becoming so overdeveloped, it's ridiculous. And now, as I drive down just about any street in this town, Ryan Holmes putting something up, Paparone putting something up, Hovnanian, thank God he's not putting something up right now. There's too much going on. And now a 1.6 million square foot warehouse on Black Horse Pike, whether it's 18-wheelers going in and out of there every day, supposedly it's supposed to be 700 to 800. Even if it's Amazon vehicles, we're talking about the Black Horse Pike. It's 2 lanes going in one direction, 2 lanes going in the other. The amount of traffic that's going to do, and now I know Black Horse Pike, that's county or state road? State, okay. And it's in crap condition as it is. I'm watching what I'm saying. How will the infrastructure even handle something like that? What kind of pollution is a warehouse going to put out to the creek that's right at the end, a creek, stream,
Hospitality Waterway.
Thank you. What kind of pollution is going to be running off the asphalt from that development into that creek? And lastly, are there any tax incentives being given to tax the development?
Right now, they're under a farm assessment.
But if they build something there, will they have any type of tax incentive?
Not if I say of it.
Any type of abatement? Nothing.
no such.
There's nothing out now, is there?
There's no application of any sort that has been filed for any tax incentive abatements or otherwise.
Would one be given?
I'm sorry?
Would one be given for this warehouse?
Would one be given?
Yeah.
I won't support one. John knows how I feel about that.
I won't support it
I'm on the
either.
tax abatement committee. I'll tell you right now, I won't support it.
I won't support any tax abatement.
Okay, what about
Unless
everybody else?
it's your residential primary home for yourself.
What about everybody else? Would you give any type of tax incentive or tax abatement to this Hexa redevelopment?
So, if I could, I'll comment on that, Madam President. So, the township has different opportunities, right? There's tax abatements, there's pilot programs, there's a lot of different things. There has been no request, okay, because there is no tenant, there is no project right now, right? It's still a piece of land. And I'm sure that's why it's still assessed the way it's assessed. Doing, and I would say I'm probably against tax abatement, right? But pilot programs gives the township an opportunity and an option to negotiate more money for the township. Okay, and what I mean by that is a pilot program which can be presented after a redevelopment zone is there. So a project, let's say it's a warehouse. A project with a warehouse has no impact on the school district, right? It's on a state highway, so it doesn't affect the county budget. It doesn't affect the school budget. It only would affect the municipal budget. Putting something in a pilot program gives the township, or it gives the option of a township to go into a pilot program and negotiate more money in a sense that we could say, instead of us getting 26% of, let's say it's $1 million for simple math, the school district will get $560,000. The township will get 260,000. The county will get about $180,000, right, to total that total $1 million. By putting it in a pilot program, it will allow the township, or give the township an option to say, we're going to take 80% of that because it only affects our budget, doesn't affect the school budget, doesn't affect the county budget, and then we can give the school, say, 15% and the county 5%. So in essence, instead of the municipality taking $260,000 from $1 million, we could take $800,000, if that's what the township chose to negotiate at that point. So it could be a benefit to the township. I don't think that's off the table for projects, not just a warehouse, but any project of a business coming in that would request a pilot program. Tax abatement is a little bit different, right? That ramps up usually over 5 years, and I don't think we've done too many of them. Pat would know better than me. He's chaired that committee for quite a few years, right?
For residential.
And I'll give you a tax abatement program for, I guess it was Whitehall Gardens, right, which is off of Whitehall Road. The developer wanted to build a bunch of townhomes, and the prior administration negotiated a tax abatement program for those over 55 community. They wanted to build townhomes. The mayor was able to negotiate with the developer to build over 55, so no impact on our school district, right? Less traffic.
Yeah, we spoke about that
And-
before. I'm in one of those developments. I'm in the Greens, and I'm all for that because seniors need to say, we aren't adding to the schools. But
Right,
no
so
business
that
and
helps. So that was a good tax abatement program because it prevented a bunch of townhomes coming in, and instead the developer was able to do over 55. So some tax abatements are good. Typically, we don't like to do them residential-wise, but, you know, in a project like that, that makes perfect sense. You know, a pilot program could make sense for a large business because, again, if the business isn't affecting the other taxable areas, the county, the school district, and it's only affecting the municipal budget, well, then we want to try to draw more of that. It gives us that option, put it that way.
Okay, I just want to make sure that there's going to be no incentives given to Hexa.
I don't think there's no amount of money worth destroying a farm over.
I agree also, but I just wanted to make sure about that. That's all I have. Thank you.
I actually have a question for you, Mr. Davis, because
Yeah, go ahead.
I wasn't at the last meeting, and you had brought it up briefly with the, what is it, the commercial storage space
Yeah.
by your, so I just want to make sure, and I know there's other residents in the room that live in the Greens as well that are here. Did the developer tell you from day one that project, developer, not Hobnavian, hear me out here, In 2009, that project, your project, because it was my first year on council, that project was approved as a mixed use. That whole frontage that wraps around CVS, on the bypass, on Fry's Mill, is straight commercial. It could be a storage, it could be a McDonald's, it could be a Chick-fil-A. That is deemed a commercial property. And I just want to make sure that was a condition of the 55 and over facility there for the tax abatements, the 5-year tax abatement. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that has been a commercial, that has been locked and loaded as a commercial property since 2019.
Yeah, the builder failed to mention any of that to anybody. And when asked, maybe some quaint little shops or something, when he was fully aware of the plans for the 40-foot storage facility.
Yeah.
He was all the way up until the residents got the letters stating that a variance is coming up. He was still telling people, it might be quaint little shops, or it might be a storage facility.
Yeah.
And people hear storage facility, they're thinking those small ones. They're not thinking a monstrosity.
Yep. Yeah, because I pulled the ordinance, and I remember this because the developer, as chair of the tax abatement, they said, we want an abatement. And I said, we're not into abatements. And that's when he said, listen, I want to do a mixed use, and we are amenable to a mixed use project. It brings commercial ratables, it'll help offset, plus it was a 55 and over community, right? So it made sense as a mixed use project. At that time, there was no application or plans. Matter of fact, I remember the conversation explicitly. He was trying to get a Dunkin' Donuts at the intersection.
Yeah, unfortunately, that
just
guy
let
died.
you know,
Yeah, he
like,
was trying to do that on the other
I
side.
just want to be clear, that was all lumped in as mixed use, and the tax abatement that everyone received there was strictly contingent upon that being a commercial facility.
Yeah, I was familiar with that. I just wasn't familiar with a possible 40-foot storage facility, but fortunately, that died, so.
Okay.
All right,
Hey,
thank you.
Since we're talking about taxes, just brought something up that I forgot to mention earlier. I got a question for the mayor. Gloucester County today said that the county is going to start assessing our properties every year. Are you going to fight against that?
Wait, does that mean reassess
They're
it?
going to reassess our property every year. There was an article that I had a phone call about. It was in,
It's actually been out to all the
today.
residents.
What's that?
It's a resident, all the residents.
Well, it's going to do the whole county.
They do every single resident. So I don't know how we're going to react to that because the county does our taxes. County
Well, I
does all
understand
our-
that, but having the government on your property, in and out your house every year, I got a problem with that.
We'll have to figure it
Well,
out.
I'm
Well, I have to fight that.
I can tell you what happened last time, because the last time was several years ago. They knocked on my door. I said, I'm not ready. And listen, transparently, I was the same way, right? Pushed it off. Then I got the letter in the mail that gave me the max tax rate as if I had everything in their mother in my house. And so I said, well, I'm going to call them because I know that I shouldn't be paying this tax. So I wound up calling them to get it down to reality, but they did hit me with the max because they didn't have access to my.
But Pat, I think he's saying they're changing it, because I think it was done every 5 years or 7 years,
5.
10 years, something like
Now they're
that?
doing it they're saying.
Every year.
At the letter
Is
that
that
I
just
got.
proposed, or is that?
No, they already started with a couple
They rolled
townships.
it out.
I
That's
think
why.
the townships they started in now, they don't have an election, is why they're hitting them townships, but we don't need that here. We don't need the government in our house every year.
It's not every 5, it's every year, to John's point, because I just saw it yesterday, it was in my mail. It's every year. What they haven't confirmed is they have not said, and it actually says it, that they're not physically, they don't, listen, let's be clear, the county does not have the we're not going to pay for it. They don't have the resources.
So I was going to say, I don't know
hit
how
every
they're going to
single
manage
house.
doing all of Gloucester
They're gonna
County in
use-
1
they-
year.
They said they're going to use a mix of satellite imaging, Google Earth, to see if anything changed or something along those lines, but listen, personally, as a resident.
It's still such a huge undertaking to do every house in the county. There's no way possible that they'll be able to.
But to John's point,
Do that.
we should inquire and find out what the actual plan is.
I called, the guy has no clue.
Yeah, I don't think they're ready.
They want to come to your house every year and inspect it, but yeah, okay. Nah, that's way government overreach, and I'm not a big government guy.
Okay, next up, we have Joan Pabis.
My name is Joan, and I live in Whitehall Gardens. Thank you for the tax abatement. Really helped.
It was that or townhome, so we took the lesser of two evils, so I'm glad you're there. I've heard
It's
it's
a
a nice
wonderful
development.
community, I just want to say.
That's what I've heard.
My question is about the Hexa redevelopment plan and Hexa Builders LLC. Are they still going to develop that land in question that you just decided will have no data center, but that land is going to be developed by, is that land going to be developed by Hexa Builders?
So I don't think anybody can answer that because we don't know. So I think if we did the historical that the planner did earlier, 2010, that switched, and I believe, and I thought I saw it earlier, Adam, confirmed, but I think it was supposed to be initially in 2010, and I think somebody else spoke to it, that it was going to be about 500 or 600 homes, condominiums, townhomes, single-family homes, commercial properties, things like that. Since 2010, sometime in 2019, I'm not sure exactly when Hexa purchased that. You know that, Adam? So I believe it was in that area of maybe between 17 and 20 is when Hexa purchased it. Sometime between 2019 and 22 is when the rehabilitation study was done. Correct me if I'm wrong, Adam. And then it wasn't until 23 that was actually adopted because it was, prior to me being mayor, it was under last administration. I was on council at the time, and the mayor presented that to council in 22. However, because council was changing in January, it was presented, I believe, in late November, early December, and you need 2 readings, as we all discussed it tonight. And because there's no late December meeting or no late November meeting, it must have been presented at the early December meeting, but it couldn't be presented because you need 2 readings with the same council. So it was pushed off until 23 when it was officially adopted, if that makes sense. So, and that was 7 years ago, and there still has been no tenant to date to occupy anything there. It's not like they're going to build something prior to getting a tenant. They would have to secure a tenant. Prior to them building anything, they would have to, and it's on the record, with the planning board, they would have to go back to the planning board to identify the tenant and what the use is before they can move forward anywhere. And they would also need, if you haven't been to prior meetings, they also need many other approvals, such as DEP, DOT, Pinelands approvals. They would need many further approvals from the township, planning, construction, all that kind of stuff. So I don't think we can really answer that because it's been 16 years, going back to 2010, where I think the developers have been trying to do something there, but in reality, they haven't attracted anybody. But it's somebody's land that they have the right to develop as long as it's in accordance with all the laws and all the regulations. But 16 years, they haven't been able to find anybody to develop it.
But a warehouse could be developed there.
Potentially, yes.
That was my question.
If for the record, that the council doesn't approve mortgages. I saw a couple Facebook posts about that, too. We have nothing to do with mortgages. I don't know where the hell that came from.
Okay, next.
Has anyone looked into what I said last week about writing something up to stop them from putting detention centers?
We are looking into that. We are looking into that. We are looking into that.
And if, I don't know if you're getting up to speak, or we can talk later on. We can have a conversation on that as well. Yeah, sure.
Okay, next up, Mark Pizzotski.
Happy Easter. We're in the octave of Easter still. And the
I just
resurrection
need
of-
you to state your name and
Oh,
town
yes.
for the record.
Mark Pisotsky. What's my address? 3235.
Just your town.
South Black Horse Pike. Yeah, I'm not worried about my address. Williamstown, but thank you. The resurrection of Jesus Christ is not a metaphor. It is a historical bodily reality. The same body that was crucified truly rose again, seen, touched, witnessed. The apostles did not die for a story. They died because they encountered the living Christ. The empty tomb is not explained by imagination, but by God breaking the power of death itself. If Christ is risen, then every one of his claims stands with absolute authority, and every life must answer to him. Tonight I'm here with something that I believe will truly matter to the people of Monroe Township, something that protects families, our neighborhoods, our drinking water, and the natural places that make this community feel like home. But more than that, this ordinance gives this council a chance to do something residents will genuinely appreciate and remember. People want to feel that their leaders are looking out for them, not just today, but for the future their children and grandchildren will inherit. They want to know that the decisions made in this room are made with care, with foresight, and with a commitment to protecting what makes Monroe special. This ordinance is exactly that kind of decision. This ordinance is something that I handed to the clerk. She has a copy of an ordinance that I drew up for council to look at. I also supplied everyone with a one-page little synopsis of what the ordinance can do for the township. At the heart of this ordinance, it protects the places where water moves, the wetlands, streams, rivers, riparian zones, floodplains, and the beaver-influenced ecosystems that quietly support our entire community. These are not just features on a map. They are the systems that keep our wells clean, our roads stable, our basements dry, and our neighborhoods safe during storms. When these systems are protected, families feel safer. When they're damaged, everyone feels the consequences. That's why this ordinance establishes a 3,000-foot hydrologic buffer, not as a restriction, but as a safeguard, a simple, responsible checkpoint that ensures major development near sensitive areas is reviewed by the experts, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, the Army Corps, the Soil Conservation District, and our own Environmental Commission. It's a way of saying, before we build, let's make sure we're not creating problems for the people who live here. And here's what I think residents will appreciate most. This ordinance does not burden homeowners, farmers, small businesses, public works, utilities, or conservation volunteers. Those groups are fully protected and fully exempt unless state or federal law requires otherwise. The only projects that face additional review are the ones that truly need it: large commercial developments, industrial projects, warehouses, major site disturbances, and anything that could alter wetlands, streams, or hydrology. In other words, the kinds of projects residents consistently worry about. That's why this ordinance will be so well received. It protects the people of Monroe Township who live here. It protects the land they love, and it ensures that big developers respect the community they want to build in. Council, this is the kind of action that strengthens trust. This is the kind of leadership that brings people together. This is the kind of decision that shows you are thinking not just about today, but about the Monroe Township we leave behind for the next generation. You have an opportunity here to champion something balanced, responsible, and deeply meaningful, something that residents will thank you for, not just now, but years from now, when they see the benefits of the protections you put in place. I've provided each of you, as I said, with the one-page summary. I have submitted a full ordinance to the clerk for the record, and I would be honored to work with any member of council excuse me, I would be honored to work with any member of council who wants to move forward with this. Thank you for your time, and thank you for considering an ordinance that truly puts the people of Monroe Township first.
Mr. Pizzatski, for the record, I have the copy that you'd given to our clerk. I'm going to have our clerk just send me, and I think I've asked you to send a digital copy to the clerk for council's review, and then we'll proceed with next steps in our review of the proposed ordinance.
You have her copy?
I have the physical copy.
You have a secondary copy.
Okay, I have a secondary copy.
So you each have a copy.
So I can keep this one.
That's yours.
Thank you.
Yes.
If you can also please send a digital copy to our municipal clerk via email, I'd
Okay,
appreciate
it'll
it.
probably be Friday.
Okay.
Well, you won't be here.
Just like Oprah requests, you have 10 business days. That was a joke.
Next, we have Debbie Hogman-Kearns.
Okay, I know you heard my spiel earlier. I have a couple questions.
Ma'am, I know I say your name, I just need you to
Debbie
say your name
Kearns.
and town for the record.
Williamstown, New Jersey.
Thank you.
I have one question to Mr. Wolf. In 2010, were you on council? No.
No.
Okay. I already told you about all the properties that are now deemed worthless because of the Pinelands. I have one question for the council, or two questions. When you changed the zone on the Black Horse Pike from residential to commercial, you changed it to commercial residential. Who was that to benefit? Because I have property on the Black Horse Pike that I can't build a house on. A single-family house I cannot build. I have almost 20 acres, and I can't build a single-family home on it.
So I don't know what zone you're in, and maybe Adam can clarify that for us.
Do you know what zone you're in? The zoning designation in the township?
No.
Okay, I can help you find that.
I'm on the Black Horse Pike,
Okay,
right next to Trio Tavern.
She's under FD
okay.
You guys changed
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it FD 10, 40?
10 or 40?
I don't know,
It-
because,
The reason the 10 and the 40 are behind it is for the acreage. That's
Okay.
usually the minimum acreage that.
but
you
how
have
can I
to
build a business on there, but I can't build a house?
I would have to look at the forest station.
Because that's what they're telling me.
No,
I can put a business there,
Sure. I would have to
and
look at
if
the
I
permitted
wanted to
uses.
build my own home and live there, I could do that.
I
but
have the permitted uses, I would just have to go through them. And to your point, the Pinelands does have what's called cultural housing standards. So there are avenues to actually build a house if you meet the cultural housing. It sounds like you've been there a long time, which is why I'm telling you. So they have standards built in their code, the CMP code,
Okay.
that allows you to basically apply to them to build a house.
Okay.
And they'll say yes.
But
on
my
cultural
question
housing.
is, we were residential commercial.
Right.
It has been changed to commercial residential. And I was told by my realtor who had the property sold that the township told her, we don't want homes on the Black Horse Pike anymore. We want businesses.
Okay. I could help you look into it and kind of look into it
Okay.
further for you?
Yep, if you give me your information, I will
absolutely. No, I'd be
gladly.
happy to.
Yeah.
And if there's any
So do
avenue,
you
I
guys
can
have
help
any idea as to why that was changed, the zone?
Back in 2010?
No, this was within the last 3 to 5 years?
Did we change?
I don't recall any, I don't
think so.
recall.
Because my mother died in 2019, and I started listing the property, and this was just maybe 3 years ago that the lady wanted to build a home. And they were told, oh, no, it's no longer residential commercial, it's commercial residential. We don't want any homes on the Black Horse Pike anymore.
So I don't think anyone can speak as to that conversation or
So
that
who can I
notification.
find out?
But, well, I think if you work
Just go
with
through
Adam
him?
to figure out the specific zoning, he can track down, again, based on your block and lot,
Okay.
when everything was changed.
So then my other question was, you guys looked into the warehouse, correct, before it became the data, correct? Or it came in front of you about the warehouse?
It came in, I guess it came in front of council in 2023,
23?
I believe. fact check me on that.
In terms of a redevelopment plan.
Right,
not an
there was
actual
a
approval.
rehabilitation plan, and again, there's a slight difference with that, done in '22, I believe it was.
So, right, so 2019 was a study. The redevelopment plan was drafted in '22 and then formally adopted in '23.
Okay.
Inside that redevelopment plan is where the permitted use for warehousing was.
Okay. How do you guys see that as a benefit to our township? Can anybody tell me? Because I can't see it. It doesn't give us jobs. It gives us wear and tear on our pike. It gives us encroachment on wetlands and animals and great big waterways. So how is this proposal even a little bit beneficial to this township? Just a little bit. Give me 5% if you can, because I can't see it. Can any of you? Truthfully? I'm guessing that's a no. Across the board?
No. No, I'll answer it.
Okay, go ahead.
I could just tell you my own personal point of view on this. I don't want a warehouse there either, but a business there is a rateable to help keep taxes down for other people.
Okay.
So some type of business there,
Okay.
being in the, whether you agree with it or not, it's a business is there, it's a rateable for it. So that's my answer to
I
you.
100% agree with you, but when it became known as a warehouse, I would rather see a grocery store there. I would rather see a senior citizen.
Miss, I couldn't agree with you more I couldn't agree with you more, and we're on the same page with that. Government officials, we can't pick and choose what business goes where. There are certain things we can do, there are certain things we can't do.
You can stamp it and say, we approve it.
Nothing's been approved yet.
Yet.
But that's where we stand. That's the best answer I can give you.
Just to clarify as to the process of that, right? It's privately owned land, right? This land, just like your land, right? You own it privately. Whatever it may have, whether it be a house or a business, right? The process specifically for the land that we're talking about under Hexa is there was a private transaction between private parties. A gentleman who owned the property sold it to the developer, who is Hexa,
Yeah.
right?
It used to be owned by Ted Ellsworth and a partner, but go ahead.
Sure, if it was the partners or one, but again, it's a private transaction, right? The township doesn't approve private transactions, right? So that private transaction took place. And then because a developer purchased it and wants to use it for a commercial use, as we discussed earlier, they then choose what they want to put on that land, and if it's legally permissible, right, they then come to the planning board if it's a commercial use to get that approval.
Okay.
To build that. So to your point, you're mentioning grocery stores or something other than what, the proposal doesn't come from the township to build that, right?
from the builder.
It comes from the builder because it's their land.
Right.
Just like if you wanted to put up a shed or something on your property.
I can't.
Right.
But go ahead.
So if you want to do something with your private property,
I
right?
still can't. Go ahead.
Right, but
I
that's
understand what you're saying.
but you would have to propose that,
Right.
right? To whatever.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is, back in the day, we're going back,
Sure.
because Ted Ellsworth was a friend of the family, he had it approved through the council, I don't know how many years ago, because Mr. Ellsworth is now passed. He had it approved for a senior center or townhomes. He had it approved for it. Township approved it, was all gun-ho. He passed,
I believe that was part of the 2010.
It might have been,
Plan.
but then he had passed away prior to any of that. So I'm assuming it's his partner who is
Who
still.
then sold to
Yes.
Hexa.
So I'm in the process of figuring that one out. But that was my question, because I have 10 acres, easily. Couldn't put a home, couldn't put a single-family home on it. Was told, nope, sorry, can't.
Who were you told that by?
The realtor.
The realtor.
The realtor came, the lady came to the township and said she wanted to give the planning board a printout of what she wanted to build there, which was a single rancher. That's it. And they told her, nope, sorry, can't. It's commercial now.
Wouldn't that just, that kind of, I lose myself a little bit with that because that's residential, even if it's in a commercial residential, as you mentioned. Why are they not going to the Pinelands through the credit process or something along those lines for a single family? You're not, I'm just asking a question. I'm not trying to put you, Adam, on the spot, but that just doesn't make sense.
The realtor told her she had to come to the township first. Then she would have to go to the Pinelands, because the township would have to approve it first. Then they would have to go to the Pinelands.
Is it possible the realtor made a mistake or
No.
misunderstood something?
This is
I don't know.
the third time it's happened.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Yeah, this is the third time it's happened to me on different properties, too, not just that one property.
Could it
Okay.
be, or are the properties in that FD?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
That's
you
where I
have
think-
to give
yeah,
it
that's
out.
where I
It's in
think
the
we need to
FD
start.
Because it's all the Hogbin ground.
Yeah.
Well, I've lost that sale, so. But I definitely want to get that done. And as far as when you were talking about properties that you put in this little box thing, or not you put in this little box thing to make my property worthless and them to be able to build it, you were talking about contamination.
That's part of, so, are you talking about the?
I'm talking about contamination in Monroe Township. We had Remcor back in the day. We had Matty Bishop on Piney Hollow Road, which is right down the street from me. We had the Winslow dump right down the street from me that butted up to my property. We have Shorty's Junkyard that is now owned by
Copart, yeah.
Who has been buying ground from the railroad tracks on the Black Horse Pike all the way up the pike. So what are they doing there? From what I understand, they're bringing cars in that have been damaged or whatever and are parking them on ground through accidents or floods or whatever the case may be, and they're getting paid per car. Well, where's all that oil and antifreeze and all that stuff going? Into our ground. I just sold my father's junkyard on Piney Hollow Road, which is across the street from AAA. It took me 6 years to get it approved from the township to the Pinelands. I felt like a ping pong ball getting slapped back and forth. The only person who was able to help me was Bill Sebastian, because he had a letterhead that said Monroe Township. This has always been a junkyard. Oh, Pinelands said, okay, good, you're good to go. Now you can sell it. I had to tear down a building. I had to replant forestry area because it was considered farm ground 4 times. I'm a nursery. I know what's native in New Jersey. 4 years. It took me 6 years to sell a working junkyard that has passed every inspection that it's ever had. Right across the street, we have AAA. Stalba is his last name. He is above the fence. He encroaches on state woods. He does burning of the, I can't think of the word. He smelts. And you can smell it wafting through the air. But no one does a thing about this man, because why? He's got this and he's with Copart. So that was one of my big issues with the Pinelands. So you're talking about places that are contaminated. But none of it's being cleaned up. It's just being paved over. Shorty's, he's got a berm in the back of his ground that's probably as tall as me. From behind there, all the way back to the creek is contaminated. There's cars parked on there. Shorty don't own it no more. Copart owns it. Let's see, what else? We already talked about the devaluing of my property. We already talked about the zone. We already talked about Ted Ellsworth. I just have one final thing to say, and you can take this however you want to take it. But from this day forward, I will have my ground back as farm ground, because that was my father's legacy. And I'll be damned if a warehouse, a Pinelands political shit takes it, it's not happening. I've already contacted 3 lawyers. I am not going down without a fight. Because Hogman's Nursery is one of the oldest nurseries still working in this township. And if you don't think I'm passionate, the big mouth in the back's my daughter. And she will fight side by side with me, tooth and nail, until the day I drop dead. So, my mother passed away today. So I am here representing her and my family. You will not, I swear to God, take my farms and make them worthless. It is not right. It is not legal. And I don't care how long it takes. I don't care if it bankrupts me. I told Mr. Stolba this when he stood in my face and said, I will own all that property behind your mom's house, because she wanted it to go to my brother. Well, if she wanted it to go to my brother, she would have deeded it over. And I took him to court. So, if you don't think I'll do it, guess again. So that's all I have to say. So hopefully you'll take some of this to heart, because I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here every meeting. Thank you.
Ms. Kearns, can you just give Adam your number?
Next, we have Agnes Newton.
Oh, one other thing. We're in a drought. We've been in a drought for the last 5 years. So if anything goes in and attaches to the creek, you might as well all kiss our waters goodbye. Because we're already 5 foot below where we should be right now at my nursery.
Do we have Agnes Newton? Wayne Caprio? Wayne Caprio?
Wayne Caprio, Williamstown, New Jersey. Can I distribute some papers to you guys?
Sure.
You wanna? He's got it. Thank you.
This is what I think it is. I think one needs to go to Joe.
I think Joe had, do you have one, Joe?
Getting enough. I'll share it
We'll
with
give it back.
Yeah, sure, yes, I'll share.
Joe has one. Thanks.
Joe, do you mind just,
So,
please?
so as you know, I'm here representing the Greens. And by the way, you guys are working on 4 hours. That's awesome. I don't know how you do it. I really don't, but thank you.
So are you, so we're all in the same boat here.
I'm a little more tired than when I first got here, but I'm going to do my best. So I have a slightly different approach than I did when I came in after having some conversation with Joe. This is, the first picture is a picture of the drawings for our wet basin. That's the decorative basin in front of our community. It shows there's a 20 milliliter PVC liner at the bottom, and it also shows it to be a 5-foot depth with some gradual increments working towards the top to provide some safety. The next photo, the next page, is that same wet basin in its current state, which is about 18 to 20 inches of exposed soil. It's been that way since its inception. It gets that way within 10 days after a heavy rain. The following page shows an engineering report from Mr. Hovnanian's, he hired these engineers, that says, in August, the last paragraph, in August 2025, CES confirmed from your site superintendent that Basin C has been operating with a permanent pool for greater than 18 months with only natural inflows. Also performed a site observation on August 28th and confirmed that the permanent pool was present in substantial conformance with design intent of this wet pond. So, in staying nice, I don't know how we could differ so much. I don't know how that report could be written with no photographic evidence when we, the residents of this community, see it in its current state, the photo on page 2, consistently. And the reason I'm bringing this up today is because I think our performance bond that was released on phases 1 and 2 was, we felt it was premature, but we're new at this game. But I saw that the last time, and I just want this to be a little fresh in your heads. Should the application for bond release on these basins come soon? So that when we come, if it's not corrected by then, if we come and we fight that release, you'll know it's not the first time you've heard this problem. And then, by the way, Joe, I questioned the existence of that PVC liner. I questioned the depth of the pond. Joe has graciously offered to have the DPW come and poke around in that basin and actually expose and show us that liner, which would help gain a lot of trust in the process for us. But even if it is there, that photo that shows that water down, we still think there's a problem, whether the liner is in there or not, because that's not evaporation alone. Water doesn't evaporate that fast. Not even, a swimming pool maintains its water better than that, and it's supposed to have a PVC liner. There's absorption taking place, so that liner may be either leaking, maybe it wasn't put up along the sides high enough to prevent that water absorption. We don't know, but Joe has offered to work with us, so, and I have faith that you guys will have our back as well, so.
Joe, I have one question.
Yeah.
On this picture, Joe, right? The 20 mil PVC liner, does that go up the angle pieces as well? Up the grate? Or is that just on the bottom?
No, Mayor, that ends at the end of that bold line.
Okay.
Yeah, he's correct. It doesn't go all the way up the basin. And when I was talking with you earlier, what I suspect is that little sand area you're seeing is that first safety ledge above the PVC liner. So as he mentioned, I'll work with the DPW and schedule just a quick little probe there to confirm that that liner is in fact installed.
So do we think if they would have extended the liner up on that sand area, then that wouldn't be occurring?
Yeah, the liner is meant to prevent water from infiltrating, so any water below that liner is not going to infiltrate, so.
Okay.
Joe,
You bring up a good point, Mr. Mayor, that if that liner was higher, that unsightly coastline wouldn't be there. We're members of the board, good or bad, as you know. But we get complaints all the time of how unsightly that is, and we agree. We come into the community, we drive in, that's the first thing we see, and to see 16 or so inches of exposed clay like that in a wet pond, that's supposed to be a decorative pond, is very unsightly. And then the last page that I have there is a basin that is supposed to be dry. And it's been that way for 2 years. It always holds water. Now, I understand that these basins are still under a performance bond, and I understand that they'll be under a maintenance bond following release of the performance bond. But I don't believe that in the wet basin, any more work is going to solve that issue. I do believe that if they get to the bottom of this dry basin and sand it and till it like they're supposed to, that the water may flow over into a further down the line. We have 6 basins. We're one of the pioneers in that in this community, so in this state actually. So we're learning as we go here. Our concern so much with this dry basin is not that the water doesn't flow into another catch basin down the road. It's not that it's not finished yet. We understand that. It generates a tremendous health hazard for the residents that reside around that. There's many geese that are attracted to that, and they wouldn't be attracted to that if it were dry. like it's supposed to be. The goose droppings, we're now paying somebody $100 every time he comes out to clear the sidewalks and the streets of goose poop, which is very unhealthy. We have grandchildren that run around, pets that probably try to eat it. This was starting to be pumped out 2 weeks ago, and there's more water in it now than when they started. I just don't know why they can't come with a several horsepower pump on a trailer and just empty it once and for all. I know it'll refill after a rain, but why not do something right now? Why not just pump it out completely, till it, do whatever they got to do to make it operational, so they can at least test it for a few heavy rainfalls? It's supposed to subside after 72 hours. Let this water go to where it's supposed to go in the next basin in the line, but why wait till, summertime to make this pond, to make this basin work properly? Why not just make it work properly now, get rid of the health hazards, get rid of our complaining all the time, and just make it right, or at the very least, make it dry.
Joe, are they not maintaining it with the soot and all that? Is that why it's not draining, or is it something else?
It's never been touched.
So that basin, per the approved plans and the soil conservation, is intended to be a sediment trap for the whole development. Essentially, when it rains, pre-development, when it was all dirt, all the sediment and silt would wash out and collect in that basin to prevent further contamination down. I'll say contamination, for lack of a better term, downstream of the sediment. So the reason why it's not infiltrating is because it's just clogged with silt and sand and everything else. So when talking with the developer, they still need to finish that one entrance, which is still all stone. So their intent is to finish the entrance and then clear out that basin, as well as freshen up all the other basins that are in that community before release of the performance guarantee for the stormwater basins.
And I know there's a maintenance schedule, right, that once the HOA takes over these basins, essentially, they have to maintain it. And is that a yearly schedule, or is that a 5-year schedule, or a 3-year?
For the maintenance of the basins?
Yeah.
It varies from basin to basin. I can't answer that question
It's
for you
an
right now.
annual schedule, but we don't have very clear guidance on how many times a year. We've heard anything from twice a year to 26 times a year. It has to be tilled and silted and, reinvigorated for filtration. We don't know the true number.
So I guess, can we maybe reach out to the developer and see if they can at least pump this out?
Absolutely.
With summer months coming up, mosquitoes and,
Exactly.
and maybe the developer can even throw the silhouette of the dogs or whatever to try to keep the geese out? Is it,
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
that's effective?
Absolutely. In fact, I did receive an email from the HOA 2 weeks ago about that pond, and I did reach out to the developer, and that's when they began to pump out that basin, and it did pump out most of it, and we got some more
We
rain,
got
and
rain.
it filled right back up, so.
By the way, just for the record, we have tried to work with the developer with regard to decoys. They refused to help us with that. We reached out to him with regard to the goose poop, and he said, that's your maintenance problem. We're not involved in that. But after we paid $135 for somebody to come and do it, and one of our residents complained to the builder, he did offer to do it the next time. But with this developer, words don't do anything. Action is what speaks, and there's no action that comes from him. It's all words. So any help that you guys can provide for us, and Joe, we appreciate all the help you've given us so far, would be appreciated.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword type thing. So one of them is a wet basin, and it's leaking. The other is a dry basin. And you brought up the goose issue. Are the geese, like, you're still going to have a wet basin? Are the geese still going to be,
They're at the wet basin as well.
I know, but they're always
we
going to be
rea-
there,
But
I
that
guess.
will always be wet. We realize that that's our problem.
Okay.
So we have been looking into remedies for that. The dry basin should not be wet, there should not be
Oh,
geese there. And because it's at a cul-de-sac, It's exponentially worse.
And maybe this is a question, so the county takes full responsibility on mosquito. That's standard, like, you call the Board of Health, the County Board of Health. My question is that, does that apply?
So I know the county will come out and do
I know the county's on our
residential,
bases.
residential, you can go online and you can go to the mosquito patrol and you can get your yard sprayed, and if anybody wants to do that, I suggest you jump on now,
Great.
because by the time they get out there, they only hit certain areas at certain times. I don't know that they would do basins, but maybe it's something that we can call over to the county to see if they can do this, since there's an issue with this basin.
I've seen them in my basin, because I live right next to one in my development, and ours is municipal owned because it's an older development, and the county is in our basins, so maybe we can figure that out.
Yeah, what department in Gloucester County is that?
It's the Board of Health.
Well, they actually have them,
They have a
on
mosquito-
their website,
mosquito,
if you go to their website, they actually have a link that you can click on for mosquito control, and they'll come out and spray your entire property, no charge.
Will they do like the several surrounding properties around?
I think each person would have to notify them separately, but you get on that list and they come out, and they would probably rather see a bunch come in together, because then they could just one stop.
Send a newsletter to the residents and say, let's all get together and send a request to the county for the mosquito. I've never seen them not act on it. That's
Because I know the
they're
mosquitoes
pretty
have been a
good.
tremendous
People are
problem.
paying third-party companies, won't mention any names, but it's a free service, and they do come out.
Okay,
The
great.
problem is they'll come out at 2, 3 in the morning.
They do it in the middle of the night.
They do it in the middle of the
Beggars
night.
can't be choosers, they say,
Be
right?
forewarned, nobody
So if
said
we could, Joe, if you could just give me maybe an aerial, so I know exactly what basin, and then we'll send that over to the county to see if they can spray that as well. Maybe not right now, but maybe,
Yeah, a little later.
you know, late May, maybe, I would think would probably be best, at least to help with mosquitoes coming
That'd be
in.
very helpful.
You know, maybe the basin's fixed by then, hopefully, but,
Yeah, hopefully.
so, we appreciate it, though.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate your time.
Jeffrey Edelstein,
You gotta-
Sir, do you want to come up to the mic?
Come on up to the mic, Jeff.
just one question.
They asked you to...
It's not finished.
Sorry.
What is stopping them from fixing the basin on Queensbury? Why are they delayed?
So we're talking about the wet
You said that
pond.
build the dry basin that's wet. Why is the builder saying that they can't fix the basin that's supposed to be dry until they do the road on Prescott?
Because the soot and the
gonna
construction
keep coming.
material is flowing into the basin. They want to get that all done and then fix it once and for all. It's the way I understand it, correct, Joe?
Correct. And that's
construction
the plan. But
basin.
To
Yeah.
your point, I will reach out to them again and ask them to continue to pump that basin and just at least have a better control of that water level. Or do some type of scarification, and maybe not remove it, but just till that, so that.
Do we know
some
when
of
the
that water
entrance is
can-
getting done? Like timeline for that?
Behind Canyon, the basin's not finished. I'm wondering why are they putting it off? I mean, I know once they finish it, it's probably gonna cost money to maintain it.
Yeah,
That's the
so-
reason I think they're putting it off.
I can't speak, like I said, I'm only they're telling me what their plan, what their schedule is, right? The means and methods thing, I can, if there's an issue with the water and mosquitoes, I can request to them and keep pressuring them to keep that water pumped down. But at the end of the day, they as a developer kind of have that option to schedule things the way they want to schedule them. And for them, they want to complete all of the improvements, get the site fully stabilized, and then the last thing they do would be to do whatever corrective maintenance is required for all of the basins. That way, it would be a clean release back to you guys, and they're not in and out of those things more than once. If I had to speculate.
Just real quick, so they're gonna wait until Atlantic City Electric moves that pole before they complete Prestwick's exit, and that could be,
Who knows?
who knows? All, so we're gonna have to be dealing with
Could be the
this
end of the summer.
until they
That's why I don't
I mean, I live right across from the, I can show you some goose droppings that would.
It's the stormwater runoff from that unfinished area. It's that stone and the sill, and there's some areas that don't have grass established yet. So that's why they're going to wait until that entrance is constructed. And to answer your question, yes, AC Electric does need to move a pole. From what I've been told, that was approved, just waiting on AC Electric to get out there and actually move that thing.
Mr. Caprio, what I'll do is, are you on social media?
Facebook?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you are, I will have my aide post the link to the county's website to take you directly to the mosquito request form.
Perfect.
And you fill it out. We'll post that tomorrow on our social media page.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Okay. Township of Monroe.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
I do have a quick question for
Yes.
Joe. But you can, it's tied to the basins. How much of the bonds on performance have we released in connection with these basins? So we're still holding performance bond money?
For the basins, yeah.
Full?
Yeah, but how much, Joe? Not a lot.
Remember that we released
Hmm?
any phases related to the basins that are not working?
The gift that keeps on giving.
It's $106,000 for the
That's for-
basins. And that's for the work that's yet to be completed on the basins. I think it's essentially just tilling out that and putting in some sand in that one basin. There may be some other things I'm missing too, but.
Well, especially if we go and poke in that liner's
Yeah,
MIA.
and for the record, we were not the
It's not a
engineers.
lot of
No, I get it,
Put in,
but
so.
listen, if it's just like your swimming pool. If the thing's leaking, something's
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
give there, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I mean,
Ours
evaporation
too.
only holds so much.
There are 3 basins that are under this $110,000 performance bond now,
Okay,
and they're significant.
yeah. Plus the maintenance, though, when we even get to that, when and if we get
Is
to a
the
maintenance
developer
swap
responsible
over.
for the maintenance of those basins while they're under a maintenance guarantee?
So it is my understanding that the HOA would be responsible for the routine maintenance and annual maintenance of those basins. The maintenance bond itself would cover any structural deficiencies that may arise within a 2-year period.
Okay.
So,
But I guess our question, all of us, because listen, we've been dealing with this it's one of the many topics that we have before council. The question I have is if the builder is eventually turning it over to them and saying it's your problem, the HOA, what obligations does he have as the current owner of those basins? And what can we, listen, we got health issues, you got mosquitoes coming, like, what recourse does the town have?
They have to turn over a functioning basin.
yeah,
Well,
correct.
no, I know, but they haven't yet. So
Right,
that's
but
right.
the bigger problem here is, right, they got to turn it over a functioning basin.
Right.
The problem is when they're not maintaining it during construction,
Correct.
it's creating these problems, which are going to lead into the summertime, and they should be maintaining them just as normal as the HOA is going to have to maintain them, so they are not backing up. But I do somewhat get and understand that they're waiting to complete the project to do this one basin, to till it and all that. But, in the meantime, they need to take corrective action to drain the water properly and get it out of there so it's not a buildup.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's my problem with this. There should be, listen, I get it, it's a construction basin. It's never pretty when you're in construction. It's just the timelines. But my issue is that him just waiting is just going to make it worse.
Because it's what, 2
Like
years
clean,
now,
like
right?
he should be
Our last home was sold in
ongoing, keeping
November.
it.
So I can.
Our last home was sold in November.
No, what I'm saying is, the dry basin's been full of water for 2 years.
Yeah, I haven't been there for 2 years, but yes.
2.5 years, so why is he not pumping it out and doing it now?
Well, that's
Why
what-
are they living like that?
Because he doesn't want to.
Well, maybe the township should force them.
Well aware.
So listen, it's not that we haven't tried to work with the developer. We've worked with him endlessly.
Can't we send enforcement down?
We finally said, stop wasting our time. because they're very dismissive. They don't care. They don't care. They're not going to do anything until they're forced to, and that's the way he is, unless he's in front of a public forum, and then he's, a big celebrity. But he doesn't act on anything we ask him to. They use word calisthenics to divert us from the problem. It's tiring.
Joe, what kind of enforcement mechanism do you have?
Not much. I mean, they're responsive enough where if they were negligent completely and not doing anything at all, then we could maybe go after one of their bonds. I had recommended reaching out to soil conservation because they are responsible for overseeing soil erosion controls throughout the duration of
Excuse me, Joe.
construction projects. Yeah.
Can you maybe explain the difference between doing nothing at all and what they're doing now?
I think by the way, we're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious.
No, I am.
With regard to the
I hear you.
basins.
In order to pull their bond, they have to completely not respond to any of our requests at all to
Perfect.
have this thing cleaned
Pull
up,
the
right?
bond.
So I had reached out to them 2 weeks ago and expressed to them, I don't know, that several residents had reached out to me about the water constantly sitting in this basin. Can you please pump it out? And they did pump out the basin. So now I will stay on them to keep these basins clear of water until.
So Joe, I guess my question is there anything that mandates them to maintain that basin while they're in control and custody of it, right? Because if they're not, right, it's like, hey, I'm going to sell you a car, but I'm not going to change the oil for 5 years until I sell it to you and turn it over to you. You know, and is there anything that mandates them to follow the same maintenance schedule that the HOA is going to have to follow once it gets turned over to them?
So
Why don't we take a look at going after them as a health perspective? Mosquitoes carry diseases. We're talking about the elderly here. So we need to protect them, so why don't we try a different avenue?
No, we can absolutely.
Smack them with a heavier hand and go after the bond under that.
Absolutely contact the Board of Health, as mentioned.
Different decoys to scare them.
Well, it's not to scare them. Let's go after the bond.
So to answer your question, they're not, it's my understanding that they're not required to follow the same maintenance schedule once it's turned over to the town, because it's technically still under construction, because they're under performance guarantee, right? So.
Well, hence the reason why.
You know what would've
They're
been-
creating a health hazard for the seniors is
You know
what they're
what
doing.
Yeah, I hear you. So we can contact the Board of Health. I'll keep pressing them to make corrections to that basin sooner than later, and we can contact soil conservation as well and see if they can.
And what do they need to complete between now and turning the basins over? Is it just the
Atlantic-
entranceway?
Atlantic City Electric needs to move that telephone pole first, and I don't even know if they've applied to have that done. That might take till the very end of the summer.
Joe, didn't you say it was already approved?
Is it still burnt?
It was my understanding that, yeah, the getting the pole move was approved. I can follow up with the developer.
So we're just
tomorrow
waiting
and
for
confirm
the
that. We're just
construction
waiting to
crew,
get it
for
on
the engineer to
schedule.
take care of it.
Yeah.
Sidewalks have to be refinished because they are a mess after the winter, but our engineer says that they were improperly laid because the flaking is just going to continue and get worse and worse with time. But the road needs to be paved. That basin that we're talking about that's wet, that should be dry, is like 100 yards away from that entranceway and uphill. How's the water and debris going to get from there over to that basin unless we carry it in buckets?
The stormwater conveyance system that's underground gets it there.
Is the pipe?
But nothing's working. If the water can't get out of there, how's it get in there?
The stormwater conveying system is full of construction debris. You can see that right from the storm drains on the streets.
I think you're better.
Well, this is what we're.
Years ago, they came out, they poked holes in it, and that didn't even work. Water still comes halfway up my driveway.
And their MUA, and their
I still think
MUA
it's a health
performance
hazard for the
bond just got
seniors.
released.
That's the way you should look at it.
I contacted the Board of Health. I sent them pictures, just like I sent Joe, and I think I sent it to one of the representatives, I'm not sure. right now, if that's the guideline that the DEP gave them.
Jim, can you peel that back? Board of Health versus DEP, can you help facilitate a little bit through the Board of Health?
And Joe, can we verify with the DEP if there are regulations for them to maintain while they're in control of them?
Yeah, I'll look
Just to
into that.
double check on
Yeah,
that?
Absolutely.
To see if that's a viable option to go that direction.
And who might we get follow-up from regarding these things that you're doing?
I can contact you.
Would you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're talking about maintaining the basin. We're talking about Gloucester County Department of Health. And we're talking about Atlantic City Electric.
And also the diagram
Front
here
basin,
to
front
check on that as well.
Perfect. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate your help.
All right.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Get some rest.
Thank you.
Joe, did you exchange information?
Yeah, I've actually met with Wayne a few times.
Okay.
And some of the other HOA members.
Perfect.
Since
All right.
our January meeting when we
Okay.
released
Great. Thanks
some
for
of the
being
bonds.
Okay. Casey Palmer? Linda Sullivan?
Linda Sullivan, Williamstown. My question is, all right, we're banning the data centers. Can we not ban warehouses? Because we don't even have the infrastructure to even support a warehouse to even be built in Williamstown. Who would want to even buy or has put a business in a warehouse on 322 down there? Again, we know how crowded it is, but there's no main highways around here. Not only that, but if you could just take a ride down towards Salem on Route 40, I don't know the exact town that is, it's right near Delaware Memorial Bridge, Commodore Barry, 130, 295, Route 40, 95, and there are empty warehouses down there. I used to work for my friend's, so funny, geese chasing business, chasing geese away because of a health hazard. But you know what she does? She actually goes and chases geese at these warehouses to keep them open. I know for a fact that they've been there empty for over 5 years because they build them. These realtors come in, get the land, build these warehouses, and they sit empty. And I know a lot of you have gone and seen these empty warehouses. And they're sitting over, she's the business in Delaware, they're sitting over in Delaware too. And they're near main interstates, highways. I mean, if I was gonna have an Amazon warehouse business, I'd want it down there where it's close to all these, the New Jersey Turnpike's even there. All of these main businesses, and they can't even fill these warehouses there. Who the heck is going to want a warehouse on 322? You can't go down south. You can't even pick up the AC Expressway until you ride it. It's quite a distance. And you pick it up off of 50. The only thing is to turn around and go back to Geets, make a right on Geets, and God forbid the traffic on Geets right now with all the construction and AC Expressway. If you even allow a warehouse to go in on 322 anywhere, not just where the Hexa development plan is, anywhere, we don't have, thank you, am I using the right word? The infrastructure to support it. We don't have the lights to support it. We can barely keep our citizens from racing down there and causing accidents and killing themselves on 322 there, yet alone put some tractor trailers in there. I mean, I know this is probably what attracted the data center, because nobody, I believe none of you wanted a warehouse there, so the data center looked more attractive, because there is no, matter of fact, I'm not even saying that. This is what you guys said April 11th with my first meeting here. That was out of your mouths, that you did not want tractors, trailers, and all that, all those congestion from there, so the data center looked more attracted to you guys, not doing your homework to realize what all that was. But my thing is, if we're banning the data centers, can't we put it something in the legal jargon to say, like, you know what? Monroe Township, the community, the citizens, but the infrastructure itself just doesn't support warehouses, and this, we don't have to worry about that part. I mean, it's just anything else. I'm not saying, I understand we need growth, I understand we need to build, but we have to really look at what we're allowing to be built here. And again, if they want, go down where all the interstates and all are. That's, you get a truck and you don't even have to go far. I know you guys have been down there where the big Target warehouses are, the Amazon, I don't know where else, I can't name the other ones, but like I said, and there's empty ones there, empty for years. They can't get anybody to go into these warehouses.
Ms.
So
Sullivan, if I could, just to point out, you make a very valid point, right, about the warehouses down there, and I had a meeting with a different developer who's been around for many, many years, and way before my time, and we kind of got into the discussion about the data center and warehousing, and to your point, this same developer, no relation to Hexa, nothing like that, said you'll never get a warehouse there, simply because there are empty warehouses that are next to 295 and New Jersey Turnpike, 5 minutes from I-95 that stretches from Maine to Florida. And basically, he described it as a trucker's nightmare. The truckers don't want to have to drive through a town. They could go out the other direction, go to 54 and go on the expressway, but nobody's going to go to a data center, a warehouse that is miles from
major
295 or something like that. So, and maybe that's the reason why for 7 years, they haven't been able to attract anybody. For 16 years, the owners of that property, since 2010, when it was switched to the original plan of 500-600 homes and commercial properties, they couldn't sell it to anybody or market to anybody either. And maybe that's why, because it's just not a desirable location to bring a development, to bring commercial property, to bring a warehouse, to bring a data center, because for the last 16 years, since 2010, since that all changed in the plans from way back when, nobody has come to make application to go there. There's talk.
Let's ban it so nobody can.
No,
So
Matt-
we're not looking at things, my children are buying homes they bought homes in Williamstown. I don't want them to say, well, back in 2010, like we're looking right now, but back in 2010, this was changed and everyone's like, let's just do it now. Say, we don't support this in our town, warehouses. We'll do commercial development, but warehouses don't fit with us.
So why don't we
Doesn't
ask
fit
the
with our
solicitor-
landscape, doesn't fit with our master plan. I don't know what your master plan is because I see ordinances and resolutions. I just don't know, I haven't seen what a master plan is written yet. I'll have to find it somewhere.
So why don't we ask the
Can we do
solicitor
this?
if we can limit the square footage, the footprint of a warehouse? Bring it down to height?
Listen, here's the challenge. So everyone drives down the Black Horse Pike on 322, you see that, and I'll call it a monstrosity, it looks like a warehouse.
Storage place that,
That looks like a store, no, the one going out on heading towards through
On the
Cecil, on the
left?
left-hand side going
I
toward.
know, I saw that, I was like, what the heck is
That's a
that?
private union painter. That's not a, but it's his warehouse, storing his equipment. It's not a distribution. This is where we get into the loaded, be careful, because could you call it a warehouse for his business? Because it is. He's a union painter, paints bridges, this company.
Yeah,
who owns it.
LI.
Yeah,
This
so
is
it
going to
is.
sound
Ella,
funny.
yeah.
But if you look at it, it
Can we
looks like
be like
a
Philadelphia back in the day where you couldn't have any buildings going past William Penn? Can we do something like that?
So why couldn't we
So,
limit
we can
warehouse?
Listen,
I-
I think we can look
I
at
mean,
it.
Why couldn't we limit warehouses to 300,000 square
I
foot
mean,
or so?
it is big and all, but I don't mind anything like that.
Yeah, but if we
That's what I mean by
Agricultural footprint.
definitions.
I
They
get
can
what
only
you're
do one.
saying, but can we have something, I mean, since we're doing this and we're getting this all into, like, can we add warehouses to it? Maybe just not so big, maybe only so many trucks or something. So it's not, because we just don't support, honestly, our town just doesn't support it. Can you, I mean, that's why I think this is where this is all just, it's just, we're all going down this rabbit hole now.
Yeah, so if we do
Because
300,000
because you do
square
want the
foot
warehouses,
agricultural
the data
footprint.
center looked attractive, well, now we realize all the problems with the data, because, I mean, it just feels like it's like one thing after the other. I think we should just get it all done in one scoop and put some, you know, look at the
Well, you know, we
measurements
have
of
a
what, how
warehouse
big
that
that
has,
is.
that's been approved. I mean, just, we talk about it all the time. Leaving Sicklerville Road, everyone's heard, right by the pizza place and the last gas station on the right used to be the old ice cream parlor for all of us that have been around.
It's all overgrown and all?
It all looks like a pit.
So there's
It's
a warehouse,
full warehouse approval.
there is a warehouse going
For 6
up?
years. It's been approved for 6 years, 7 years now.
But nobody's
no-
built it?
The developer has
They
disappeared. We haven't heard from
Oh,
them in
thank
years.
God.
She went MIA.
Well, let's do
Because they
something
can't
now then,
find a
guys,
tenant.
before we, just put, I don't know, I have nothing to do with legalities and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But there's got to be something that says, look, we don't, our roads are, we're just we're a community, we're a farm community. This is what whatever your master plan is, like I said, I don't know what it is, but whatever you guys look at as our community, I think we all look at it the same way. But just put some, so size.
So,
or-
Ms. Sullivan, so like certain things, right, when items like this come up in front of planning board for planning board approval, the applicant typically comes in with their professionals, right, their experts and all that, and they testify to environmental stuff, they testify to traffic studies that have to be done, and they all have to meet DOT guidelines, right? And I guess it would be, if it's a state highway, it would be DOT, county, I'm not sure. County standards. And as long as they fit within those standards and they can prove that, that's where the legality comes in on banning something, blocking something to that. So,
But if we're banning data centers, because the last meeting, I was told there was no way we can do that because of legalities, but we're doing it. So can we not put some kind of specifications on warehouses or the amount of traffic that it puts in, because our community does not support it?
So, let me answer from a legal perspective, right? And I think I heard from this council that they would like to
Or am I totally
look-
off? Because like I said, I don't,
So,
off base?
You're fine.
I don't want to give too heavy of an answer and also too much of legal strategy, because this is a matter of public record, and God forbid, we get sued or we have to deal with it in court. I'd rather keep my strategy to myself, so they figure it out in court, not via this meeting. So we could talk also offline. I'd be more than happy to talk to whoever would like to have this discussion. But procedurally speaking, right, data centers and warehouses are just very different as to studies, impacts. Data centers, as we know, are very, they're still fairly new, right? Warehouses are not as new. They're established, there's studies and lots of precedents on that specific use. That being said, again, council has indicated a likeness for exploring a potential ban or limitations on warehouses. One thing we also have to consider, though, is, again, procedurally where certain areas, specifically in Monroe Township, have had potential previous approvals as to warehouses, legal implications of that. I'm not saying that council can't potentially put limitations or bans. Last meeting, I made a comment and I said, there's always a risk assessment though, right? So we have to go into it aware that there could potentially, and I could say this confidently with warehouses a lot more than data centers, because again, of precedents and it being an established use with criteria and case law, is that we would just have to brace ourselves for legal impact. And listen, council has made decisions prior, right, to undertake litigation in favor of the community, right? So we've taken that on, but we just have to make that decision knowing that there's precedence and we might not win the overall fight at the end of the day, even with implementing a ban.
I know other
Does
towns.
am I making sense?
That's fine. I mean, I know there's other towns before even data centers was even a thing years ago, down more south, and I can't think of the town right now, but they had a big thing a couple years ago, no warehouses, and they they won. There's no warehouse. I can't think of the name of the
Harrison.
darn town.
I think it was Harrison Township.
Harrison Township.
I
and they
think they reversed that, didn't they?
The judge reversed it, so they lost.
Right.
That's the problem.
The-
This is
the
some of
township-
challenges we get into. We fight it, right? We litigate because they sue us. Judge gets involved, we wind up losing, and then it's there anyway.
Right.
At the end of the
But that's not putting it off the table. What I'm trying to say is, it very well is just a decision that has to be made knowingly. I mentioned it last time, right? Anybody can sue anybody at any time for anything. Right?
That being, I think we should still put in not even a ban, but not say ban, because I think we can ban the data centers, but not say ban warehouses, but put specifications into what we would see as a picture of our master plan as what a warehouse would be if a warehouse went into Williamstown. Don't just let it be so open and you don't put anything in writing.
And I think, and just on the other side for consideration, right, I don't think it's on deaf ears what you're trying to accomplish, right? I think council on the other side of it just wants to make sure that we're not also spending taxpayer money on litigation that could have potentially been avoided. It's a double, again, it's a risk assessment that goes into the consideration at the end of the day. So I just want you to know that that's part of it.
That's okay, because I hear the word litigation a lot with the data centers and the warehouses, but I'm very happy that you're moving forward with banning the data centers, because I was very strong about that. I still am. I'll keep coming until that is in fruition. But I'm just asking if you can consider the warehouses too, because, like I said, our streets, our infrastructure, nothing supports warehouses here. And I'd hate to see something built and just sit there. And then it'll be an environmental hazard, because the water will just run off, and it'll be all goose poop, E. coli into our water systems, into our well, and we're back to our DEP coming and having environmental issues, because that's what they're having problems
Adam,
with.
can you actually comment on that, the discussion that we had?
Yeah, definitely. Well, in speaking to warehouses and some of the concerns and things like that, so what we have, what's available to us under the law, are something called conditional uses. So conditional uses, to everybody's point, are conditions put on that use that have to be met by a developer before that use can be considered a permitted use in a zone. So towns, we could talk about it a little bit more and what those conditions should be on a warehouse to prevent it from being too big or on a certain road, a public street, something like that.
So there is conditions and stuff we can put into play?
It's called a conditional use. That is what
Okay.
it's called. So there is availability to do some, obviously, that has to be discussed and vetted and
I mean,
cleared.
I know we probably can't stop it altogether, but if we can make it so they, it's going to be a hassle for them, you know what? They're going to be like, you know what? We're not dealing with Monroe. They got too many stipulations. We're going to go to the next town because they're not on board with anything, and we're going to go there. I mean, I'd rather see that. Like, and I know that, well, that's exactly what we're trying to do with the data centers and stuff like that,
And I
too.
think that brings us full circle to Mr. Young, who was the first person to speak in ordinance, right?
Right.
And he was mentioning specific parameters and, for lack of a better term, restrictions, right? For all businesses, so the impacts that we're looking at, right, such as noise pollution and environmental impact, forget data centers, but also just from our businesses in general,
He
are
made a very
not.
good speech, by the way.
I have the notes, but again, I think we're coming back full circle, and I don't think Adam was sitting at the table yet with the mic to mention these studies and conditions that we can work on.
And
to
Adam,
set
can you
forth
just speak
parameters.
on the water runoff that you had spoke about farm water runoff versus commercial
So-
use runoff and things like that?
Just, without getting too much, just something to consider. With farmland, we've all heard it, there's an overuse of herbicides, pesticides, things like that on farmland. What we looked into, and part of the concern in looking at should a parcel be developed and should it not, with the farmland, with the way that that parcel is graded right now, going back to block 8401, lots 8, 9, and 10, it does. To your point, it drains directly into hospitality, the
Waterway,
hospitality
yeah.
branch back there. So part of our concern was that any pesticides, any herbicides that are being used are going directly into that stream right now. And to Mr. Pistosky's point, the wetlands, there's wetlands delineated back there along that creek.
And that is a great ordinance, by the way, that they really should look into.
So,
You guys should look into.
but the Pinelands does, just so it's known, the Pinelands does regulate this. They have 300-foot buffers that are required off of any wetland area in the Pinelands. That is immutable. You cannot go against that.
Okay.
They restrict development inside the wetlands, even, I'll say, even more so than the DEP does. The DEP has a maximum of 150 feet of buffer away from a wetland. So the Pinelands is actually more restrictive than even the DEP is, as far as wetlands go.
Okay.
So what we discussed a little bit is, when development comes in, the DEP has set standards that say that stormwater runoff, a little bit of what Joe was talking about with the basins and things like that, stormwater runoff has to be attenuated inside of basins. And that is to prevent direct runoff into sensitive areas, right? They don't let you just build a parking lot and say, all the water's going down into the creek there. Don't worry about it. It's all good. We actually have to design things. I mean, Joe or Tim can speak a little bit more about it, but there's something called TSS removal, total suspended solids removal. There's criteria that
So
have
it's
to be
filtered
met.
through the ground naturally like it would be?
The
Like a
basins
septic
are-
system.
Are
The
meant
basins,
to
correct.
filter, right, before the water discharges into the creek, the basins are made. So right now, the way this farm field sits, it could actually, farming, again, I realize there's opinions about farming. I'm not saying anything
Well, I wonder
to
when the data is, because the pesticides that they used years ago, they don't use today. I mean,
Right, no,
I
understood.
grew up in Washington Township watching the farmer in his airplane with the DDT, and we used to be behind the DDT, like running in it. They
Right.
don't do any of that. Like, and there's a lot of organic farms.
Right.
That are, that's more of the norm now.
Absolutely. So I'd be curious, but it's just, it's, right.
Erosion.
There's erosion that's taking place. So when we were out there, there's actual, it's called rill erosion. So it's little stream channels that you can see on the land when a heavy rain comes in, and you can actually watch the drainage pattern. I think you can actually see it on an aerial, if you look at an aerial of the land. And you can watch the drainage patterns, and they run right to the creek right now. So that was part of our concern with looking at this, in that development, I understand there's certain uses everybody wants and things like that, but development could actually be good because then it's regulated by the state. So there's actually things put in place to prevent direct discharge into the stream. So it's just.
I hear what
there-
you're saying, but.
We try, there are regulatory agencies, plus council has our ordinances and things like that try and preserve and protect the ecological integrity of these areas too. I don't want to make it seem like development just kind of has carte blanche and they can do whatever they want,
And then, Ms. Sullivan, one last thing, because we
I
kind of
really don't want
bounced,
to take up your time.
we kind of bounced different, that's fine. We bounced, on a couple different things, and we talked about Sick Level Road, the already approved warehouse there that has gone MIA. They have not been around in years. Even if we were to create, and it would be more for Sandra on this, but even if we were to create a new ordinance restricting warehousing and things like that, right? We're already banning data centers. That's definitely happened. The first reading already happened tonight. April 22nd will be the second. But putting restrictions on warehousing and things like that, correct me if I'm wrong, because that's an already approved project. If they were ever to come back, they would be grandfathered in, I would imagine. And then my second point would be, with the Hexa project, they were in for a preliminary approval. So how does that preliminary approval fall into that same thing? Like, I guess if I remember correctly, Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, but.
They still have to come back with a tenant, if they find a
No,
tenant.
I hear you, but the Sicklerville Road project, that was full approved?
Fully, final
Fully,
site
final
plan board layout,
approval.
the whole
So I don't know that
aesthetics.
we'd ever be able to stop that, so to speak. The Hexa project has a preliminary approval for warehousing, so I don't know legally how that falls.
I thought there was no tenants whatsoever.
No, there are no tenants. There's no
Oh, you
tenants.
mean preliminary approval? as far
They
as the
they sought a
the
preliminary
land
approval. That's kind of what started all this, because people got noticed that they were coming into the planning board for preliminary approval for a warehouse. That's kind of that was January 8th of this year. That's what kind of spurred all these discussions. So I don't know where that would fall legally on that, maybe.
And that's where I would come in and say, that's part of that large risk assessment that we need to have, right, for an overall ban with warehouses, because the potential implications are a
I'm
lot
not saying even
larger.
overall ban. I'm
Sure.
just saying put some
Limitation.
kind of.
No, and that's absolutely
you
what
got-
Adam was speaking
I think y'all-
to. No.
No, I just
sure,
wanted to be
no,
clear
no.
that we are going to, I think,
Look at
we're
it.
going to look into it,
Yeah.
but I want everybody to be clear that the one on Sickle Road already has full approvals. That probably, and again, that's a legal question, but probably can't be stopped. I'm not sure with the preliminary approval where that would fall legally.
I won't come back at you. if-
No, well, listen, people do, so I just want to be clear.
I'm okay.
I just want to be clear.
I'm just thinking, if we're doing this, like, I don't have to talk anymore with you. Thank you.
Next, we have Chris Stockman.
Good evening, I'm Chris Stockman. I live on Corkery Lane here in Williamstown, New Jersey. This is my second time coming to any of these meetings, and I will promise you won't have to worry about me cursing or going off the handle. For the past few weeks, we've been really heated about this. I think where now we're finally starting to learn more about what is, you have more people being informed, you have, like we're saying, putting more things on the website, making things more regular, easily to read and understand. Where I think I've looked at this whole ESO, it's just like not just something that's happening in our little town. This is happening in every state and every city all along the country. And up to the point that we're seeing this in our Congress, we're hearing this debated. What I think and I've heard a lot of my points already made, so this will be short and sweet. What I think I would like to hear are reassurances that if we do have something as a Sicklerville, as you stated, that's already in place, that can't be kind of stopped without some kind of legal ramifications back to us. Do we have things in place to protect? I've heard the water being discussed, electric. My mother's electric has been $900 a month, close to $1,000 a month, and this is for a single rancher. I don't even have a basement. When I got my HVAC system, I would promise that would help bring my bills down. It actually increased them. So by doing what banning the data center and banning a warehouse, my real problem is you look at North Jersey right now and all the data centers going up there. The data center that was not supposed to be a data center in Vineland, that is now 10% done. I have seen reports from NJ.com that have reported the average amount of electric that Vineland uses, their population uses, would double with this data center being installed. It would double. Now, somebody had brought up this point to me earlier. Say something fails, electric-wise, and it needs to rely on other sources of electric. That will be our electric that will be hit. And by doing that, now we're going to be looking at $2,000 for electric. So I, as a resident who wants to live here after my mom is dead and gone and live in this town and raise a family, need to know that my electric bills are not going to jump and jump and jump by putting more of these warehouses that, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, something sinks that we talk about, I forget what the word was, started with an M. But by leaving the door open.
Moratoriums?
Moratoriums, yes, thank you. But if you look up the definition of a moratorium, that is temporary. What I think Councilman Valentine said, and this is where I adamantly agree with him. We want something in place that, as he stated in the last council meeting, a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, we won't be back here debating this topic and bringing this back up and bringing up the word ban, outright ban. There must be some way for us to put some kind of legal wording in there to deter people from wanting to come and build warehouses that they can then turn around and sell in a private sale, like I heard earlier, that then we have no control over.
So again, to answer a couple of your points, number one, this council just voted to ban data centers, right? So there has to be a second reading, it has to go in front of the planning board. So that's number one. So I think it's safe to say that the council is on board, they voted unanimously this evening. So when it comes up on April 22nd, so that solves the problem with data centers, right? Secondly, the website, right? Are you talking about the Facebook page or our website?
Yes, and
Okay.
now it's being expanded more, and
So-
I've seen more information put in there.
And just so everybody knows, right, we discussed this about communication last meeting. We will post further updates on our planning board meetings, zoning board meetings, their agendas, our council meetings, ordinance meetings. However, we are going to post the links because, as our clerk pointed out to me, that when they post the agendas initially, sometimes there's amendments as things are coming in from, whether it be legal or from engineers or planners, and when they're receiving those informations, they are updating those. So we're just going to post the links, which direct you to our website, and it gives you the latest and greatest version of the actual agenda. So if something were to change and you had an old copy, you wouldn't have that change on there. So we're going to post the links, but we're moving forward, we're going to do that for all our meetings.
Well, as I said, my second was reassurances of power grid. I've been doing a lot of research into the PJM and how that works and how they buy the electric from the government, et cetera, et cetera.
The issue, you know what the issue is there, right? The PMJ, it's about 17 or 13 states. So unfortunately, we're at the mercy of that, and the Gloucester County mayors, Republican and Democrats, all pulled together last year, and we authored a letter to go to our BPU, the Board of Public Utilities, adamantly opposing the increases last year on the electrical.
Yeah, because they reported an 800% increase.
So-
That didn't pass.
So with that, they didn't listen to us, as the 24 mayors all banded together. They didn't listen to us, and they still raised the rates. But a lot of that has to do with, we're connected with, it's either 13 or 17 states, but we're connected all there, so we're all buying power at the same time, and that's part of the problem. Unfortunately, it's not a local level problem, it's a state and a national problem that we hope gets quickly addressed.
But by not building more, we're going to prevent that possibly from jumping more than it already is, out of control.
I wish I could tell you that's not, because to the mayor's point, PJM, which is the conglomerate that we all bow down to, unfortunately, right now, and I think it's 13 states, it goes all the way out to Michigan. It's PJM. They are the keeper of everyone's dollars. So
It's a monopoly.
it's a monopoly. We can ban every warehouse, and it'll absolutely have zero impact. We could ban we can ban everything that draws more than a residential house, 200 amp single phase service, typical residential house, that's your electric. And your rate's still going to go up. Why? Because BJM and the conglomerates say we want it to go up. So I guess what I'm saying is I wish we could tell you that the warehouses, whether we want them or don't want them, are going to have an impact on your electric bill. That's all PJM. That's the bad part.
So there's no way of regulating that to make them have to pay. Like this warehouse, the data center in Violent, has nothing to do with Violent. It's for an overseas company, a Microsoft. It has nothing to do with the city of Violent. But yet they're getting hit with the electric, their electric has doubled. So is there restrictions that we can put in place that these companies, these warehouses or data centers, if they do get built, have to use their own electric? This is possible.
We don't have to talk about data centers too. That's done.
But is there a
But a
regulation in
warehouse-
place even for a warehouse?
I mean,
You have to supply
but then
their
you-
own
I mean,
power.
listen,
So I think there's state legislation and federal legislation that are looking to address that, to make them self-generate power. So I think you'll see that coming as this evolves. But again, like Councilman O'Reilly said, we don't have to concern ourselves with that now because we are banning them altogether. So, but the problem is, right, if Virginia puts in hundreds of data centers, they're still on that PJM, and if they allow them to connect to the grid, it's still going to affect us here in New Jersey, or if Michigan allows them to go in, it's still going to affect us and our cost here because we're all connected to that same grid, so to speak.
All right, thank you.
Good questions, though.
Yeah.
Sir,
Okay, is there anyone else in the public that wishes to speak this evening? Yes, sir.
My name's Andrew Will. I live here in Williamstown. And so I just want to clarify that there's definitely not going to be a data center now.
So first reading was tonight. It has to go to the planning board tomorrow evening, which I'm sure they will fully support, not only the ordinance that was approved tonight, but the ordinance that was approved the last meeting to repeal the data center use, and we're going to simultaneously do that at the planning board meeting tomorrow. It then has to come back for a second reading in front of council and a vote for a second. That'll be the final vote. Then it has to go to the Pinelands Commission. They have to certify it, send it back to us. It then goes in the newspaper, and then once it's in the newspaper, 20 days after that, it becomes effective. So voting-wise, tomorrow night at the planning board meeting, which, again, we don't anticipate any issue with it going through. April 22nd, we'll all be back here for the second reading. Again, unanimous tonight, so I don't think that's going to change either. So it should be approved finally by April 22nd. It is a process, but that's the legal process that we have to follow. So to answer your question, yes, it's going to be banned.
Okay, so now we're at the point where people are concerned about a warehouse now then. That's what really is going on now at this point.
That's what it sounds like, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify what was going on with that, because, I mean, you hear people talking and hearsay, and I'm at the point where I don't know who to believe and not to believe. I know a lot of people said there was a lot of money involved in that company buying that property. I know people asked who owned that property and sold it to them. So I don't know why that has to be.
So I could tell you, I believe it was around $5 million from what I hear that was paid for that. Other people said, I know some people had said that there was a $20 million mortgage. That I don't know. That's, what we're hearing. But again, we don't have any say or control or knowledge of that, direct knowledge of that. We don't get involved in private land
I can't
sales.
see how they can get a $20 million mortgage on that if they bought it for $5 million and then they got to remortgage that property for $20 million. I mean, that's what they wanted to throw Trump in jail for, wasn't it? Up in New York, same thing. So can't we fight them on something like that?
So legally, there's no basis as the township. First of all,
Because
I
they're
don't even
actually
know-
saying now the property's worth more than five.
I want to be very clear, right? I don't even know or have substantial information about this $20 million
That's what I'm saying.
mortgage,
It's-
right?
it's-
That's
at
to your
this point,
point,
it's hearsay.
what's called hearsay, right? Exactly. Second of all, again, it was a private transaction, so it's not like the township approved it. It's not like the township mortgaged it. Neither I nor anybody on this council can sit here and speculate or try to guess as to how that potential remortgage exists.
Right.
That's
I
like-
would
that's like
think-
me
I would think
refinancing my
that
private
Somebody
house,
from
right?
town council would look into that and have an answer by
Well, it's
now.
listed on, I think it's listed on homes.com. I think that's where it was listed at.
Right.
So look the property up, it'll,
$20 million on
Yeah,
homes.com?
I think it was homes.com.
I'm going to have to look that one up myself.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. The
Why
New
would
Jersey
it be
property
on
website says
homes.com
5 million.
when
I don't know if I got a
when it's
copy.
going to be
And
commercial?
even if it
I'll
is
send you a copy
true,
back.
there's,
I'll find it if it's on homes.com.
legally, there's no basis for the township to do anything. It's a private property. It's like me refinancing my house
That's what
and
Trump
going
did.
to ask the
Trump owns his
township.
property, privately owned company.
I
You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, though, you gotta have, for instance, of what we're trying to get to here, you know what I'm saying?
Sure, but I'm just trying to make it clear that even if that mortgage,
Because I'm just like totally confused at this point, because it seems like every time somebody gets up here and comes up with an idea how we can fight this, or how a better way to go about it, it seems like you come back with something else to go over their head with, to where we're not getting a straight answer.
well, what
what's
council
going
came
on.
back with today was an outright prohibition on data centers.
All right, well, I'm glad about that. I mean, I'm hoping that, like you said, it's privately owned now, so you can't fight them to keep them from building the warehouse. So then, once that warehouse goes in, that's what a lot of people are concerned about now also, is once that warehouse goes in, and just like that, the lady before me stated that there's empty warehouses all over, but I can't see anybody spending that kind of money and not getting what they want.
And council has expressed that in furtherance of everything that we've heard lately and tonight,
Well,
specifically
I've
as it
been- this is my
relates to
third meeting.
warehouses, we're going to be looking with our planners and studies and see what conditions can be put in place regarding those
Right,
warehouses.
because this is my third meeting that I've been to, and like I said, what I understood is that it's privately owned now, and that you can't tell them what they can do with that property. And I'm like, well, how can that be? Because if I want to build something on my property, I got to get permits and everything else, put a shed up or a fence up or whatever else. So, I can't understand why residents have to go through that, but a
Well,
builder could come in.
They do too, right? They could develop their property if they own it,
Right,
as long as they're in accordance with the laws,
right.
right? So that's the big thing. And number two, I know you said you read stuff on social media and things like that, but, and maybe it looks like we're coming over people's heads, but we have to do things legally correct.
Right.
Right? So
That's the big-
sometimes people, and again, I think somebody commented on it earlier, that there was comments on social media that we approved a $20 million mortgage, that the township approved it. That's not the case. So again, I think some people don't have all the facts. Some people are putting misinformation out, flat out lies, quite honestly. And, we have to make sure that we are operating within the law. We always have to do that. So that's why I know some people say, well, this is taking too long, why can't we just ban them? There is a legal process that we have to follow, not just for banning data centers, but for every single ordinance that this township passes or puts up for a vote. Every single one has to go that same direction. 2 readings. If it's land use in the Pinelands, it's got to go, to the Pinelands for approval. It's got to go in front of the planning board. So there's a lot of regulations that we have to abide by. And sometimes when it thinks that we're just sitting here spinning our wheels and trying to kick the can down the road, because I saw comments on that, it's not. We are following the legal process, which hurt us and helped us with the Easter holiday. The first ordinance that was proposed 2 weeks ago, the repeal the data center use from the Hexa project, that would have been at the planning board this past Monday, and tonight would have been the second reading. But because of the Easter holiday, the planning board meeting was canceled and moved to Thursday evening, which hurt us on that one, but it helped us on this one, because now we don't have to wait till May's meeting to go to the planning board, and then the second reading for the ban, the prohibition that we passed tonight, would have to wait till the later meeting in May. So fortunately for us, on that end, it's going to go to the planning board tomorrow, and then we could bring it right back on April 22nd for the final vote, instead of waiting until mid-May to approve it. So kind of hurt us on the one, but helped us on the prohibition one. So both of them will be approved on the 22nd.
Now, how about, can the Pinelands Commission override you
They could-
and approve it?
They could, we're asking for a prohibition, right? I do not think that the Pinelands is going to deny that. They have to go through their, I guess, legal review, and Adam and Tim, you could speak more to that, but they have to go through their approvals. But I would highly doubt, I would hope that they would not balk at that, and they would say, we're consistent, and we'll get the certification letter. And we're actually going to try to push that. Usually it takes some time, but we're going to try to push that to get that sooner.
All right, yeah. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak this evening?
I just wanted to know
Oh,
what
come-
was going on as far as stopping the, you said about putting in, anyone putting in a detention center.
Yes.
in
Just
that
your
area.
name and town.
Oh, Ave, Getzinger, Monroe Township.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just writing it down.
Do we even, that's a good question, because do we even have a use?
So,
I mean, wouldn't you deem that like a jail?
I did start doing some preliminary research into just general law. I haven't had a chance to fully look into our code.
Yeah.
I tried doing a quick search. It wasn't in our code to begin with, as to your point, a permitted use explicitly. Generally speaking, in terms of just general law, there's two things we have to consider with data centers. A township can put in place restrictions and/or a ban as to a privately owned detention center. And that's going to be a discussion that's going to be up for council's consideration, of course.
Privately
Well, that's-
owned,
well,
or
this-
if it's being done by ICE?
No, so it has to be privately owned.
What about them putting in detention centers for human beings down the street from me?
So I'm talking just about the function portion. I'm outlining the law for you.
Okay.
Right? So if a detention center is owned by the government and performing what's called, under the Supremacy Clause, under the Constitution, what they deem to be a federal function, then it can't be outlawed by a municipality because the federal law supersedes that federal function.
Okay, so that's why I was bringing it up early.
Sure.
Because you're going to have to be a little fancy and a little
Sure.
creative. Putting in this detention center, you have approval, I guess, like they could do a warehouse there right now. That's okay. But when you're doing it, a detention center of that size, you're talking about a large amount of human waste.
Sure. So what you're...
And that's a whole different thing that our system isn't even set up to deal with. We could not handle that.
So what you're,
Of that
are you
size.
talking about that specific Hexa property? Or
Anywhere
anywhere in
you
the
want to stick
township?
it in Monroe Township,
So-
I thought there would probably be where they would go for it, because that place may or may not have a large amount of money that they have to, a mortgage or whatever they might have. If we block a data center, now they need to find something else. And like you guys were saying, well, this is the next most logical option for them to offload it, because I know the government's going around buying up warehouses
Sure.
for this purpose.
Sure.
Whether they're outfitted with bathrooms or not. And either way, the sewage alone, we couldn't handle it. That's not personally why I'm against it, but that is a legitimate concern. And any size, a facility of that size that has to detain human beings, I
Sure.
mean, there's got to be some creative things you can come up with here, restriction-wise. I mean, this is something that our township, the amount of human beings they would put in that,
To your point, if you're worried about like present day and what's going on in the world and all, we are years, if there were final approvals right now for a building, we're still years away from that, the construction even happening.
Yeah.
So it's.
I want us to be proactive.
No.
I don't want us to wait till the last second and go,
No, it's a
"Whoa."
fantastic point, but it's, as far as like, it's a real threat right now. It's just,
Well, these are going up pretty quick. So
I get-
I would consider it, I'd rather be,
I understand, I'm just saying we're,
assume it is a threat,
okay, I just wanted to be clear, we're years away from there even being a building there,
That's
if
what
everything
you
was
say,
approved
but,
today.
like, let's be on top of it.
I don't disagree, just wanted to, for the record, we got
Yeah.
time.
So a couple points.
So we think,
So-
theoretically.
So a couple things. The Hexa project, I don't believe there's sewer there, so they would have to run infrastructure, which obviously takes time. So I think, to Councilman Heverly's point, that
I mean, that doesn't really matter, that I'm bringing this up so that we could be
well,
proactive.
and we are, we've
Yeah.
been doing the research. Question, Sandra, for you. So I know you said that the federal law supersedes the state law, which I fully understand. How does it work for civil versus criminal? Right? So I believe ICE is a civil arm of the law, not a criminal.
Yes, it is.
So again, the supremacy clause specific to detention centers focuses on the function being a federal function.
Okay.
So long, and to your point, what you're saying is setting parameters.
That's not federal, they are civil, that is a civil offense that they're putting people in there for. So it's not a federal crime.
But it's in prolonging of, they're still pursuing, it's been found, whether we agree with it or not, by courts, right, that a detention center serves as a federal function. There was actually a New Jersey bill, I forget if it was introduced in 2023 or 2024, that actually set out to ban detention centers statewide, and it was struck down as unlawful.
So let me ask you a question. If we put a agricultural square foot, a cap, say 300,000 square foot, could they override that?
If they relate it back to a federal function, correct. So, but that's not to say that I hear what you're saying in terms of putting forth restrictions not specifically tied to housing a detention center. I hear what you're saying. And again, I just want to say that this is all based on preliminary research. I haven't even started drafting potential parameters or discussing with council. Council's also hearing about this research for the first time. I want you to know, and as Mayor Wolf indicated, it's being looked into, and I hear what you're
Thank
saying. We hear what you're
As long as
saying.
you're moving forward with it, like you said, there's some time, but I don't want anyone to go, well, we have some time, and then put it on the back shelf. As long as we're taking, even if they're baby steps, as long as someone's working on it and moving forward, that's fine.
So
We're moving forward, we're moving in that direction.
I can say that, we began the research, the legal team has. However, the pressing priority issue was the banned data centers. That's what they've been tasked with over the last couple of weeks to come up
Well,
with.
you said that you were working on that, so I was bringing up
Yeah.
another point.
No,
didn't wanna get
I
you
have,
off
yeah,
course.
and they have begun the research, but everything else was prioritized for the ordinance to ban data
Right.
centers, so.
But thank you, Sandra. I just wanted, because you had said earlier that
Yes.
you had something to say to me, but I figured might as well say it on the record, so I
Yes.
thought I'd get up here, because I stayed in this long, so I might as well, just walk up to the mic, because there was a moment. That's all I was
And just so
asking
you know,
about.
we try to take, if time permits, right, we as in council and legal try to take time to craft these ordinances because it's like a bill, right? It's actual law. Obviously, there are some matters that council wants to move faster with, such as the data center
Yes,
ordinance. And
100%.
so, but I want you to know that it is being looked into at the direction
Oh,
of
yeah.
this council,
The
right?
data center was my first priority.
Right.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I was like bringing that up last week,
Sure.
and also, now that we're moving, the data center, I was bringing that up too. Also, quick side thing. So you're saying you guys have overhead view of where contaminated water is just running off into our waterways? Okay.
I can see from above if there's, it's called a riddle, if there's a little, it almost looks like a snake on the land,
Yeah.
in the dirt, you can see.
Yeah, I know,
the drainage
okay.
pattern. I'm not saying the water's contaminated necessarily, but what I'm saying is that if the farmer's using pesticides on the land, right, and I can watch the water, I know that the water's running off through the creek, there's a possibility that that's harming water quality downstream.
Yeah, it's just that when you were talking about it earlier, you made it sound like it was, oh, well, the farmland, and that's contaminated water going right into the creek. But if we had, if we had like an actual commercial business in there, we could say, have them put in, and did you actually say put in retention ponds like we were talking about earlier, where they were like leaking and not even working right? And that's what we were gonna,
I was just saying that the DEP puts in regulations when runoff comes from development, that those regulations are in place to try and cleanse that water, because it goes down through groundwater filter out to. I'm just telling you.
I know. I wanted to bring up that because you did say something and I'm like, okay, you're not saying that because you kind of insinuated that land was up for rehabilitation because of possible contamination. Because of certain, you said because of certain, that was met. Okay, but what were the exact criteria that were met to do that at that particular point? You kept insinuating that it could be this, it could be that, could be this, could be that, and there was like a list of things that it could be, but you didn't specifically said what it was that triggered you guys and said, yeah, we can do it. So I'm just saying, what specifically was it that met the criteria? Like when you guys had, here's our list of criteria, and you had to go up to somebody and say, okay, which ones did it meet in order for us to do this? Somebody had to present an answer. So what was it? Yeah, what criteria was ticked off in those boxes to make that go through? I was just curious, since you were here.
He did report on it earlier, but he could,
I couldn't, it was a little vague
he'll
because he
report
kept
it.
listing the criteria, but he didn't specifically say which ones. So I was just wondering, just real quick.
Rehab, there's 4 criteria. The first one's age of housing stock.
So the houses were old?
If more than 50% of the homes in the study area are over 50 years of age, then the whole study area qualifies. And that's the whole commercial corridor. That's the pike from Washington Township.
So was that it that
to
did it?
Folsom.
That's one of the criteria.
That's the only, it only has to be one. We studied all 4 criteria. We studied the environmental contaminated sites.
Okay, so it only had to be, so it was just one then?
One was enough to qualify the whole course.
But there were several that
There
were
were
met.
several.
Okay, I
Yes.
was just wondering
Sure.
what the other ones were. See, this is what I was talking about earlier. It was vague. You were saying there's lots of criteria, but no one specifically said which
So
ones.
it was-
I was
it
wondering
was-
which ones. So the housing, the age of the housing over 50. What was the other ones that were ticked off?
Vacancy and contamination of parcels.
So there was contaminated parcels within the study area. Okay, so was that addressed, and is something being done to those contaminated parcels? And the people that owned them, aren't they responsible for cleaning that up? And has that been addressed? Or you just decided, well, that's a good enough reason to do a rehab redevelopment area on it and just left it as is? Because I'm just curious, because there's these things that run off into the water, into the lake. So I kind of want to know if that land is contaminated enough for you guys to use it as a checkbox to go have a rehabilitation thing. I'm just wondering, like, has that been addressed? Who owns the land that was contaminated, and are they doing something to address that?
They're on a DEP database, known contaminated site database.
So they're registered
So-
as a
so-
okay, but is someone doing
So
something about it?
I can't say for what is in that study, which ones are contaminated, but I can give you an example. So, like, for example, we have gas stations that line up the pike that are closed down, right? And they've been contaminated, and correct me if I'm wrong, but some contaminated sites that go through the DEP and they're required to do certain testing for X amount of years. So that could be a contaminated site.
Well, I understand what is a contaminated site.
Yeah.
I was wondering if those sites, after it was found that they were contaminated, if the people that own the property
Well,
are
they're all-
then being held responsible to clean up
Go
said
ahead.
property.
The DEP oversees cleanup of those properties. Once there are no contaminated sites,
So they are being cleaned up.
DEP leans, what DEP will do is if they can't force the owner to clean it up, which does happen, they lien it. They lien it. and they'll put up, depending on the severity of the contamination, they'll actually do it, and then they lien the property in the event that the landlord or
To
the
pay the
property
DEP
owner.
back.
Yeah.
Okay,
But, I
so-
mean, just so
so
we know,
all those
there was
areas-
one just recently in the middle of town that went through that process.
Oh, where, it's got to be where the dispensary went up, right?
I'm neither, don't know.
Well, come on, it used to be, I mean, anybody can figure that out. If
Just
it's an old
saying.
gas station or something
Yeah.
like that, they all get contaminated.
So-
It's been there forever.
There's a,
Ms. Getzing, to answer your question, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what the answer to your question is, the DEP is notified, the information that they pulled is from the DEP of these contaminated sites, so they are aware.
That wasn't my question. My question was, is someone
Cleaning them
has
up, so
cleaned them up?
the DEP is involved with all the properties that are
And they're
deemed
all actively
contaminated.
being cleaned.
Because if there are no contaminated sites, to Mr. O'Reilly's point, they'll either leave the property or they'll wait for the property owner to actually clean up the site.
So-
And that comes from enforcement with the DEP and things like that.
That state, so that
Well,
is,
that's
this is the problem, like,
How it goes about, but it's being done, is what I'm saying. They're all being actively,
The DEP is is the body who would handle the interactions with the property owners to get something done.
but you guys must know about I mean, just being that it's in your township, don't they have to, I don't know, CC you in on some of the emails or something? Come on, guys, nothing?
I don't.
They don't tell you
not
guys
in the
any,
state.
it's our town and we don't get to find out what they're doing about cleaning it up? None of yous?
It's not,
None
it's
of us
not,
are privy to
I
that.
mean, that's a valid question. You'd have to wind up calling, I mean, Jim, did we get any calls from the DEP? That's a state, and then you got the EPA, and they don't either.
Any kind of political thing, and that to me is absolutely crazy, that they can contaminate a property in our town and not our town government or the people who live here have anything, nope, it's all between them and the DEP, and we don't get to find out anything?
So I could tell you why I referenced the
Why is
gas
it
station, because
mystery?
I've seen them out there testing the gas stations. That's how I know that certain old gas stations that are closed down now are in or have contamination, because I see them out there performing the test from time to time.
Yeah,
It's a report.
wonderful, so we just don't know, and we all, and everybody, I mean, it's not just me, right? You guys all think that's really effed up? I'm censoring my language just in case kids are still awake at this point and actually want to watch this boring stuff, but really, you guys think, I mean, it's not just me, right? Everybody thinks that's pretty messed up?
I actually think that should be really
I-
looked at because
It's ridiculous.
it's the aquifer that we,
Yeah.
all of South Jersey.
And we all have well water.
Reasons why we have problems with our water is because it's so high up to the surface. So you would really want to make sure. you don't-
Well, if there was something wrong with the aquifer, it would know. Yeah. Well, and just to, Ms. Sullivan, you're mentioning the aquifer, I can hear you, I just want to put it for the record, because you're talking about potential contamination to the aquifer. If it's something related to that, we would absolutely get notified. It's a different,
The whole of Monroe Township is on top of the Kirkwood aquifer.
so if it's something,
If there's something contaminated here, it's directly going in, it's a surface, it's real high up to the surface, this aquifer.
so,
It's real high up to the surface, so anything that's contaminated, it's going into that.
Ma-
And we're drinking it on a daily basis because we have well water.
maybe we were talking about two separate standards, but to your point, if the DEP list, right, is being updated, of course, not by us, it would be by the DEP, maybe we could implement, or somebody can look into it where there's a check every so often, right, as to what's being remediated versus what's not, so we could at least have that information.
Directly,
Or do we have any Superfund sites?
Not aware. Do we have any,
Landfill, that would be considered a Superfund.
that landfill is that is no longer, that's why there's solar on it, because it's legally and state certified and capped.
Right, but my point is, my question is there Superfund sites? That's all, I think that's what she really wants to know.
well, I don't know
What?
what you talk, I don't know what that term is, but yeah, probably what he's saying.
Think about Susan. Superfund is like a super contaminated. So
I
it
kind
doesn't
of
sound
figured what he was going by, I was like, yeah.
I don't believe we have any Superfund sites in Monroe Township.
I'm Fernando Powers. I'm from
Wait a
Williamstown.
minute, sir, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Point of order here.
I just wanted to help out because I used to be an environmental a company, I used to work for it, and so I know a little bit about that and waste. So this is what I'm saying. I just wanted to help out. That's all.
Okay.
So if there's any,
Are you
to the point is if there are any Superfund sites, and if there are, would it be knowledgeable information? I mean, like.
I don't believe we have any Superfund sites in Monroe Township. There's none.
We would certainly know, and our residents would know as well.
Right.
So-
I'm just bringing that up because I think for a while we had an issue with the water, and that's why, not too long ago, these companies came in and started selling the water filtrations.
Well, I want to make sure we're not conflating issues, right?
Yeah.
I think what Ms. Getzinger was mentioning was in relation to these identified contaminated sites and where they currently stand present day, right now, correct?
I don't need to know where they are. I just want to know that something's being done about them, but it seems that you guys said that we can't know if anything's being done about them or what the status is.
No, what we're saying is,
Public record. That's how Adam pulled it. You go right to the DEP website at any given point, click it. It's gonna, at any given point, if they add one to it, it'll be on the DEP website. So
what we're saying is the monitoring agency is the New Jersey DEP, right? If they don't update their registry, right, with the status of what the contamination or remediation or progress in it is, we don't have a way of knowing where it stands as it relates to the progress on that. Something is being done, it's just not directly by this count. We don't have that authority to monitor that or actually take care of the contamination ourselves, right?
No, I didn't
Yeah.
think you would take care
Right.
of contamination yourselves. I just wanted to make sure someone was enforcing that either the owner
Yes.
of the property or somebody.
It's the New Jersey DEP.
And that, you guys were keeping tabs on it at least? Because, just because it's on the DEP's website, I don't know, I just think that's something that falls under, just because it's not your jurisdiction, doesn't mean it's not your concern, is what I'm saying, and you guys don't seem to be looking into it like, well, I can look it up on the DEP website if I so chose, because it's public, I'm sorry, I don't have enough time, if I had 5 lifetimes, to take care of everything that nobody else does. I can't. This is the Township of Monroe, it says it right up there. If there's contaminated sites, especially since most of our community, it deals with well water. It is, I can't even, it's late, I'm tired. You guys see where I'm going with this, and it's not gonna get
Yeah,
anywhere.
so some of the sites that if you.
Can you state your name, please?
Fernando Powers,
Town.
Williamstown. Yeah, some of the sites that you'll see, some gas stations that are shut down, you'll see sometimes that some drums are sitting out there. That's because they just can't move them, that there are actual contaminants in there, and they have to be properly removed, but they also have to be properly labeled, and a lot of times they fade, and so somebody's got to come up and keep up to date with it. But that is waste that is hazardous, that it gives you an idea of what sites still have this, contaminants floating around. So
Okay.
that's just to help you guys out. So, some of these sites that they're saying, just in case they're saying it's cleaned up, it's not. A lot of times they have that, and in order to remove it, they have to do it with credited individual or companies like the ones I was with, Safety Clean, to actually remove stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else wishing to speak this evening? Ma'am, did you want to speak? Okay.
Mark Pizotsky. The rehabilitation plan from 2019, they just put a line around a huge part of the town, and if one of the 4 criteria meet, then they deemed it all rehabilitation. That's why the farm is rehabilitation. But the more irrational, illogical thing is you have places like Shorty's and Remcor and Now there's a weed dispensary next to Geets, but that was like pretty beat up and contaminated for over 30 years. But it seems like in the wisdom of the township in 2019, the solution was, yeah, we'll build a 1.63 million square foot warehouse over on the farm area. So instead of like, I don't know, it doesn't even make sense. But anyway, conditional use was brought up. So I went to the Pinelands Commission last Friday. One of the members on the Pinelands Commission brought up a great point because they're looking to revise the CMP. The CMP, I think, hasn't been touched in like 30 years. And data centers did not exist 30 years ago. The one thing that the one gentleman brought up was, like, they're trying to not have any data centers in any Pinelands. That's the commission, that was like the vibe, okay? But somebody said, I'm sorry for my voice, somebody said, if someone were to come in and do a data center, what would be, how can we put it where when they go to leave, now they have to take everything with them? So my question for Monroe Township, for you guys is, can we put in, if like somebody wants to build a warehouse, if it's 500,000 foot, 1.63 million square foot, is there a way, I don't know what bonds are with the retention basin or a removal bond?
Joe, jump in. Tim?
Only because if there's going to be 1.63 million square foot with asphalt and concrete, and they're a warehouse for 5 years, and they decide to leave, we don't want another Harry's, huge, sitting there for 30 years. So is there something the township can do to make sure they pack up their 1.6 million square foot of metal and their, I like forget how many acres of concrete and the asphalt?
I have personally never heard of a removal bond, but I
Deal
will,
with them every day.
I will look into it.
A removal bond.
Tim, I mean, I deal with it with New Jersey, I mean, again, I said it before, I'm in cell tower business. I have to post a removal bond, I have to post a performance bond, and I have to post a removal bond, and it stays with the town in the event that our tower is unoccupied, right? So someone left the tower, and it happens all the time.
They put it into an escrow?
Well, it's a bond, right? So it's really, we don't, if you do escrow, that's actually just putting cash out of your pocket.
Okay.
A bond is a guarantee, so through a bank, and that's what might come. So we will put a bond up that, and knock on wood, we've never had anyone cash in my business, because if the tower's not making any money or whatever, we want to remove it, right? But I do, and we might call them different, we call them removal bonds when I get triggered.
Is that something we can look into?
Restoration bond, okay, there we go, restoration bond.
Why not?
So, I'm sure we can, well, first of all, I don't want to go overthink it. There's a ban, right?
No, I'm-
Your
I'm-
house,
Yeah, I'm talking warehouses.
I think we can get,
I was just looking up preliminarily the statute.
Because honestly, if they start doing drones for deliveries, they don't need major highways.
I'm still waiting for that article to come out when the one that's.
The data centers are in the, like up in space?
Well, no, they're looking at ocean, they can't do space, space will never happen. You gotta read the article.
Space is not what they tell us it
It's
is.
too far. They're thinking about the oceans, which brings up a whole nother issue, because you want to talk about contamination. Now you're talking about contamination 2/3 of the US, or the world.
The planet.
Which is water. He can't get the speed. It's too far. This data centers, this is the problem. We're our own, just to be transparent, and then we'll wrap it up. We're our own worst enemy. The more you get on your phone, the more you need a data center. It's not going away in the world. We can stall it. This is just the tip of the iceberg on the amount, like Texas, because it's more open land. 600 data centers in the Dallas area going up right now. 600. That's how crazy this environment has gotten with cell phones. And cell phones is just a piece of it. You're talking, every time you type Google, the word Google to look something up, straight to a data center. And it's finite. It's storage space that is finite. Until there's a better technology, this is the beast that the world is actually dealing with right now. It's worldwide now at this point, that
But we
quick.
can never give up fighting. I know a lot of the times we're saying something, you're like, but the laws, I know Sandra, poor Sandra. You're like, the laws, but that doesn't mean we should ever get complacent, that we should ever give up just because we're worried about it. That's what we have to keep doing. You know, we wouldn't be a country if we just said, okay, King George. We didn't. We fought. And that's how things happen. I'm not particularly happy about it, but, you know, the abortion got flipped because people cared and they did it. That's not how I feel, but they did. One team made it legal when it wasn't. Another flipped it back the other way because they don't want it that way. But that's how our country works. If the law's there, then we fight. We try to come up with different ways to do it. We can't give up just because. We got to keep looking. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Guys are open.
Oh, okay. Anyone else wishing to speak in the public this evening? Okay. Motion to close public portion.
Motion.
Second? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion for adjournment?
Motion. Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned?
Fernando. I'm gonna bust everyone's ball, farm thing, because I have it on mine. Yeah, farm.